All right, we get it rolling on the Krug Show after Warrior basketball. Larry Krueger with you, brought to you by Pig and a Pickle. Check out Pig and a Pickle. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're in Marin County 7 days a week. They're open there from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. They're in Emeryville Wednesday through Sunday. They're open in Emeryville. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. As you can see, we got a full house tonight. And, man, we're going to have some fun tonight. It's going to be action-packed for sure. Top of the screen, Big Frank Red, right center square, Carl Foster with the Klay Thompson bobblehead and a very elaborate background there in the top as well. Bay Area baller, flat cap and all, representing with the Warriors hat and jacket. And we go double Coach Emilio. That's Dan Coach Emilio right there. Steve Coach Emilio is going to join us as well on the line. You won't necessarily see Steve, but you'll hear him, and you will want to hear him because he is a very respected basketball voice and a longtime basketball coach. We've got great respect for Steve Coach Emilio. We just stomach Danny. No, I mean, did I say that right? No, I mean, we have Steve and Dan. And then later, JD's going to jump in. Sean Proctor's been invited to the party. Carl may invite some people. And guys, guess who's joining us tonight? You don't like that? No, that's actually Grant Napier. It's actually Damon Bruce. The Ploose.
The Ploose is on the loose.
The Ploose will be joining us. He said, Krug, I want in on the post game. And I said, I don't know, man. I don't know if you can hang in the post game, but Damon Bruce is going to join us in the post game. And we are all very excited tonight because the Warriors stave off elimination for a night, winning 121-106, 15-point victory. AD maybe concussed. They said he was being wheelchaired to the locker room. Looney hit him in the head. AD had 23 and 9, but his status for Game 6 Friday night at this point up in the air, though I don't anticipate him not playing. Darvin Ham seemed to think that he would be fine. But, guys, great win for Golden State. I felt like they came out and they took it. And who, of course, is right in the middle of the action but Draymond Green. And Draymond Green, 20 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists. Strong performance tonight from Andrew Wiggins, who had his playoff high, 25, 7, and 5 for Wiggins. Poole got off the deck and contributed 11 points and 4 assists. Kerr opted to start GP2 again, which means that he may have listened to our Game 4 postgame because I said, you know what? Go with the same group. I liked what GP2 did, except only thing I didn't like was GP2 was not on Lonnie Walker in the fourth quarter. Tonight, the fourth quarter was not that eventful, so we don't know who GP2 would have been on. But the Warriors got a nice win. They held their own at the free throw line. Both teams shot 15 free throws. LA was +2 on the break. LA was +2 on points in the paint, but that's basically a wash. Golden State was +10 on the glass, and that was a huge factor. And let's get it rolling as we go around the room here. Red, why don't we start with you? Let's get everybody's first impression on the nice win by Golden State, 15-point win tonight at Chase. Frank, what'd you think?
First and foremost, I'm going to give Jordan Poole a lot of credit. He literally had the weight of the world on his shoulders, and he could have just ran away and hide, and he didn't do that. He came out in the first half and scored 9 quality points. He came out thinking past force. Some of his shots, most of his shots were inside the three-point line, and even more importantly, he gave Steph the opportunity to sit down and get some rest, and I think that was able to prolong his efficiency throughout the game. But I expect Draymond to do what he did. I mean, the guy has a heart of a champion, all defense, 10-plus years in the league. And again, I'm going to keep hammering it. I think Steve Kerr is one of the best coaches in the NBA. And the reason why Milwaukee is at home now is because they were frazzled when they needed to come together and really focus on what they needed to do. I never got the sense that the Golden State Warriors were not focused on what the immediate objective was. And I got to give Steve Kerr credit for
that. Who we adding down here on the bottom? There we go. Who are we adding there? Is that Steve?
Steve.
Let's go,
Steve, we got
Coach.
you.
Coach.
We got double Coach Emilio's.
Bookends.
Steve, can you hear us? No.
He's worse than I am, technically.
Okay. That's all right. Well, why don't we do this? We'll put Steve back in the well, let's see. Maybe
Can you hear us, Steve?
Steve, can you hear us? Not yet.
Put your mic on. You're muted.
You're muted. Or maybe he's not hearing us either.
Hit the mic. Hit the mic on your phone. Let me call him.
Well, we'll get to Steve in a second. But Carl, give us your thoughts on the win. By the way, Brian, a brand new member here, Brian Gavin, brand new member, always gets a little clap. Brian Gavin, brand new member. Thanks for jumping aboard on the Krug Show, Brian. Carl, give me your thoughts. What did you think of the win? Nice win for Golden State. They had to have it, and they got it.
I love the fact that there was some ebb and flow in the game tonight. The Lakers started off really flat. The Warriors definitely had their foot on the pedal. They were really focused early on. They had a couple of small little breakdowns on a couple of turnovers early. But once the Lakers made their push, you could see that the Warriors got their footing again. They were able to consistently run their offense, and the ball moved really well. Needless to say, what Draymond did in terms of the intensity that he brought on the offensive end was huge. It gave them an opportunity to kind of stave off the fact that Clay really couldn't find his shot early in the game. He really never really found his shot, but he still contributed in other ways. And the other part that was so critical tonight, I love what Frank said in terms of giving credit to Jordan Poole and the professionalism he showed. But let's just be honest, seeing two-way Wiggs and all of his grandeur was super big tonight, particularly when they went to him in the low post.
Yeah, Lou Marston on the chat says the difference with the Warriors is Wiggins. Best game of the playoffs so far. He will be the difference. Danny, give me your thought. Give me your opening thought on this one.
Yeah, I thought, Wiggins obviously stepped it up. Draymond stepped it up in intensity. And having Looney healthy was a big difference. He look at him getting those rebounds and stepping it up. So I think and as far as AD goes, I don't know if he's concussed. I've been concussed like 3 or 4 times.
On this show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He looks concussed. I mean, he looked concussed. It didn't look like, oh, I'm in pain so much as he looked like he was out of it. And if he's concussed, there's no way he's playing Friday.
Well, I think he's playing Friday. No,
Yeah,
I mean,
if he's if they say he's concussed,
they'll lie. They'll make it up.
Yeah.
He'll be there Friday.
Yeah,
I bet anything. Baller, give me your takeaway on this one. Nice win for Golden State. What was the thing that jumped out at you most?
Hey, the Warriors' back was up against the wall, and they came out and played with a high energy. There was a high sense of urgency, and as these fellas have said, Andrew Wiggins, he's going to get the game ball from me. I liked, like Carl said, how they were working him in the post. Andrew Wiggins was spectacular in multiple phases of the game. In the post, from the perimeter, he was 2 of 5. Defensively, I thought he was spectacular. This is the Wiggins that helped the Warriors win a championship a year ago. And then Draymond was also fantastic. He was aggressive. He was pushing the pace per usual. And I like the fact that he was talking trash. This was the first game I felt like Draymond was really sticking it to. So I think he was giving it to Davis, calling him out. That's the Draymond I want to see. And I want to see that game 6. And then the other guy I want to call out, GP2. He had the highest plus minus of the game. He was efficient. I think he was 4 of 5 from the field, made all his free throws. And then defensively, he held D'Angelo Russell in check. He held Lonnie Walker in check. And I was glad to see Kerr go to him in the fourth quarter.
Just going back to the first quarter of this game, Warriors shot 7 of 12 on threes in that first quarter. LA shot 1 of 5, but LA came out and shot the 2 well. They were 10 of 15 from 2s. LA was getting out on the break. It was 6-0 on the break at the end of the first quarter. LA was plus 8 points in the paint in that first quarter. but Golden State built a 12-point lead early, and despite the fact that LA came back, it was a 4-point game going to the second quarter. Steve, can you hear us now, Steve?
He could hear you, but his mic's not. Undo your mic. Hit mic at the bottom.
There might be a mute button. You might have to click. He might be muted. I'm not sure.
Tell him to click the red line.
Yeah, click the red line on the bottom. That's got the.
He just got zapped. We welcome in. Well, hopefully Steve can jump back in here because we'd love to get his thoughts. And Danny, if we can't get him on the line, maybe we could get him on the phone, even without the video. But Sean Proctor joins us as well. Sean, give us your takeaway. Big 15-point win for the Warriors. They had to have it, and they got it.
Oh God, it was nice. It was real nice. I'm gonna just reiterate what Baller said. I thought Draymond was the catalyst, and at no point in the previous 4 games, I thought he kind of was playing a little passive. Like I mentioned before, he's just like best friends with LeBron, wants to be holding hands with him. Tonight, didn't see that. He was fired up, and that's what the Warriors need. They thrive off that. So I really like that part. It was nice to see Jordan get some buckets, even though he was launching a little bit. What else? I thought it was great. I thought it was great that they didn't have to have the threes in the second half to win that game.
It was an interesting game in that, there was a couple moments where I thought LA was, especially in that first half, it really looked like, LA was going to make this a very, very close game, but it seemed like every time they got close, Golden State would come away with some big plays. Wiggins had some huge ones. He had a big 3-pointer in that second quarter to cap a 10-2 Warrior run. I thought the combination of they took care of the basketball for the most part. They didn't have massive turnovers. What was it? 14 turnovers for Golden State. Is that what it was? 14. And they battled them on the glass. They beat them on the glass by 10. To me, that was a big part of this thing. Green rebounding, Wiggins rebounding. Those guys combined for 17 rebounds. Clay did not have a good night shooting, but he had 6 boards. Peyton, also grabbed boards. So I thought Peyton's rebounding was kind of big. And, I'll tell you the other guy that I thought was a key factor in this game, and it doesn't look like a key factor if you look at the box score, but we all just watched it so we can speak to it. Moses Moody.
Yes,
Moses Moody played a really quality 10 minutes. He got 6 points, but he got 4 defensive rebounds.
Mm-hmm. And it was quiet, but Looney played a big part too.
Yeah, Looney played a very, very big part.
So he must be getting over his bug or whatever he had because he looks better.
And it was
definitely
nice.
Looked better.
It was nice to see too that the Warriors on some of the touches by Anthony Davis were digging down a lot harder than you had seen earlier in the series. Yeah. They weren't conceding just a straight one-on-one matchup. They had 2 or 3 balls that they were able to knock away. They even contested a post entry. He recovered it and ended up getting a basket out of it. But, he's a ridiculous athlete. But you have to come with some slightly different tactics in terms of how you're going to address it. And you got to know when and where. They're trying to send Schroeder to his left hand as opposed to letting him get to that strong right hand. So we're starting to see some of the subtle adjustments as opposed to the bigger ones we saw earlier in the series.
Yeah, that's what they did tonight. One of the things they did was they changed their defense in the half court. They were playing straight man. And a lot of times when the Lakers caught the ball in the mid post or on the post, they went to a soft zone. Mm-hmm. So Anthony Davis didn't have the ability to dribble into shots like he did over the past couple of games. He could square his shoulders and go up and shoot, and he did that a couple of times, but it makes him less demonstrative when you keep him in a tight space because he's going to make some, he's going to miss some. And when he missed, by and large, the Warriors were able to take care of the defensive rebound and then push the pace on several occasions. I think that kind of got the Lakers off balance a little bit. So great adjustments defensively in the half court, and they took care of the defensive rebound.
I'll tell you the one thing that's really been an eye opener in this series is how good Schroeder has been. Yeah. Man, Schroeder is really, he looks like a guy that if you leave him, he'll knock the shot down. He took 5 threes. He made a couple. He's just a hard guy to stay in front of. kind of hard. It's kind of mystifying to me that he's kind of bounced around when you look at that skill set. He's got a nice handle. He's got crazy length. He's got the ball in a string. He was plus 14 tonight. I thought he far and away was the Lakers' best player. It seems like Schroeder is just, I've always liked him, but man, I mean, he looks fantastic in this series.
Yeah, but Larry, he's kind of like fast food, though. You got to be really careful that you consume it and you get full, and you'll have an upset stomach a little bit later, because he also has a tendency to make some brain dead turnovers at critical times, trying to do things he shouldn't do. So, if we want to call him Mickey D's, you can call him Mickey D's or Burger King.
Analogy's epic.
I thought he was really good too.
Yeah, he was good.
The reason why he didn't get a ton of minutes, he picked up 3 fouls relatively early, because I was kind of looking like, man, Schroeder's been really good, but it was the foul trouble that kind of kept him on the bench there for a little bit.
Barry
Baller,
who would you rather have on the floor if you're Darvin Ham for most of the second half? Would you rather have Russell or would you rather have Schroeder?
Tonight, it looked like Schroeder.
Yeah.
Tonight, it looks like Schroeder. D'Lo's a player where if he's flowing, if the points are coming in and the offense is looking good, he's in rhythm, you keep D'Lo out there, but I don't think that was it for him tonight. So it's a night-by-night basis with those guys. Probably most nights you're going to go D'Lo, but tonight it felt like should have been Schroeder.
Steve, are you with us? Do we have Steve? No, not yet. All right. Well, we don't have Steve. 95.7 Brian says, hey, guys, great win for the Warriors tonight. A lot to discuss. First impression is this was a game where they needed Draymond. When he is assertive and engaged, they're almost unbeatable. Draymond Green, I was a little nervous early because I thought, at one point he picked up a second and you heard, was it the announcer said, Brian Anderson's like, yeah, that's his third. And I was like, really? That's his third? And then he's like, oh, wait, no, check that. That's his second. So yeah, I mean, I was a little nervous right there when I heard that Draymond picked up his third, but that was just a erroneous statement.
I wonder how many times they've lost when he scored 20.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, Draymond Green, if he scores 10, he's an incredibly valuable player. If he scores 20,
he scored 20 tonight.
I mean, double.
I bet they don't have too many losses when he gets 20 points.
Oh, he's such a key cog. I mean, and you know what I love about Draymond? He went on his podcast yesterday and he basically came out and said, we're going to do this and this and this and this that we didn't do, and we're going to win. It's like, and he's just so confident and has such a belief in himself and his team that how could you not have confidence when you hear him, and we haven't really seen the Warriors get the whole thing revved up together. I mean, we haven't really seen Klay Thompson. He just doesn't seem like he's real comfortable right now. What is your guys' read on where Klay's at?
His shots are still rushed. He's not set.
Well, he's not set, and his shots are rushed because he doesn't physically feel right. This is me watching him. He might have a different opinion, but Klay's lower extremities is really why he's a great shooter. And if you watch him, he's shooting the ball now from his upper body, and he's kind of leaning over a little bit. But when Klay is right, it starts from the bottom. He's straight up and down. He is a textbook shooter, and he doesn't appear to have that right now. It doesn't mean he can't make shots, because he can. It doesn't mean in the offseason, if he puts the time in, I'm sure he will. He might come back next year and have a better shooting year. But mechanically, he doesn't look the same. But I give him credit, though, because he never loses his confidence. And tonight, he played tough physical defense. And you know what? The Warriors won because of their defense, not because of the offense. They scored 121 points, but it was the physicality that they played with tonight that made the biggest statement. And then them, again, listening to the game plan and pushing the pace. If you're a Warrior fan, be excited, because this was not their A game. This is probably their solid B+ game. They got an A game in them. So I'm interested in seeing what they do.
Can we get a game 6 Klay in game 6?
I don't think so.
I think the challenge you're going to find, Sean, if you look at it, over the course of the last 2 games, Klay Thompson has shot a total of 23 shots.
Mm-hmm.
He shot 24 plus shots in game 1. They've changed how they're defending him. Early in the game, if you think about the first 4 minutes of the game, he took 4 shots. And you could clearly see it. He really wanted it to go, particularly that baseline jumper from the left side.
Mm-hmm.
He's had trouble getting high quality looks because of how they're defending him. They're saying, let's take him away. We won't help on him. Don't help off of him. We believe our other 4 can guard their 4 and beat them up when we get the ball on the other end. So there's got to be some slight changes in how the Warriors are going to attack if they want to get Klay some high-quality shots. They tried to put him in the post once tonight. That really didn't go well. He ended up traveling. So it's just going to be a matter of him trusting the system. And if he only gets 10 quality shots, take 10 quality shots and don't take 1 or 2 that you're kind of rushing because you're trying to get a shot off.
Yeah, I agree.
I like that, Carl, because Klay and Jordan Poole, those are the 2 players I find myself kind of getting frustrated with in terms of with shot selection. Mostly, like when I kind of cringe at a shot, it's usually Jordan Poole, kind of twisting far away on a 3-pointer or going off the dribble with these side steps, or Klay, usually not so much off the dribble, but just when he's running around on the perimeter and he doesn't get square. So I like the fact that, if he gets 10 good looks, take 10 good looks. You don't need to throw in 3 or 4 additional kind of shots where you're kind of throwing your hands up like, you see Kerr kind of flipping out.
They're playing him pretty tight. The defense is pretty tight on him, and so that's why the shots are rushed. But I've also noticed the last couple of games he's been going around that defense and trying to drive to the hoop. He just doesn't have it. I don't think the Warriors really want him putting the ball on the floor. I think they want him taking set shots with a strong base, like Carl was saying.
They're not afraid of him taking off. If you notice, he had a couple of plays tonight where he drove. He's not good taking off on 1 foot, launching towards the basket. So when he's driving to the basket, he's really thinking pass first. And he made a couple of good passes. The other key thing that you're finding that I am happy with is the Warriors are happy to potentially have a 24-second shot violation turnover versus a bad shot turnover or throwing it away trying to make a wild pass. It's better to make them take it out and let the clock run out than it is. It's kind of like having a good running game in football. You'd rather just run the ball into the ground and make the defense have to be able to say, hey, now bring in your punt team because you're going to get it back on offense, but we're not going to let you get it on a live turnover.
Yeah, well, sure. Those deep threes are leading to like fast breaks the other way. The
one thing that we got to see, though, Jordan Poole is a 94% free throw shooter. Get to the line.
I think this series is 88.
He has 0 free throw attempts in this game.
It's because of the length, Larry. Vanderbilt, you saw Vanderbilt tonight do a chase down. LeBron does chase downs. Anthony Davis is an octopus in there. It's really hard. Even D'Lo is a very long guard. So some of the things that we could take advantage of in other series for Jordan Poole going to the rim, it's just not available.
Well, but I'm just saying, pump fake. There's great length. LA's challenging these shots. They're playing some outstanding defense in the half court. The other thing I got to see more of, I got to see Poole at the line. But the other thing I got to see more of is I got to see the Warriors on the break. This Laker team, guys, is 2 different teams. In the half court, this is one of the best defensive teams in the game right now. But in transition, they're a sieve. And it's like, get out in transition. The Warriors had 13 fast break points. Now, that's not terrible, but that should be closer to 20. And that's got to be a bigger number against this team that's so good in the half court. I can't remember a team that was this where, man, in the half court, if they can lock down, it's like, wow, you're going to have a hard time. The length and the AD in the middle, it's like you're just going to have a hard time. But if you can get them in transition, they make a lot of bad mistakes. They reach. They're not nearly the team defensively. They don't seem like they're tied together defensively at all in transition. So I want to see the Warriors get out and run. Now, we saw it a little bit. Draymond pushed the pace. Looney, when he got pulled some rebounds second half, pushed the pace. But I think Golden State's got to run with a little bit more conviction. We got this one from 808 Niner. He says, if Klay and Poole just show up, the Lakers are going to have a hard time winning. If they can be efficient in Game 6, they'll be back at Chase on Sunday. What are we going to see? What are we going to see Friday night in LA that we didn't see tonight?
Well, just hope that the referees allow the game to be played out like it was tonight. Because if they take the physicality away from the Warriors, then the onus would be on the Warriors to make a barrage of threes. And that's tough in a half-court situation when you're playing against the Lakers defense. So I think you're going to hope for a 90s, late 80s type of performance by the referees. Just let the players decide. And then that will open up an opportunity for the Pools and the Steph Currys of the world to drive to the basket for easy buckets. Because you're right, there has to be a combination of free throws, easy twos, and then shoot threes at a decent clip. But if they're just shooting long-range shots, it's going to be tough to beat the Lakers. So push the ball and go to the rim.
Yeah, what I liked about tonight was that they didn't need the three. Because as we know, historically at Staples Center, when they're playing the Lakers, not the Clippers, Clay and Steph have a hard time with the three ball. And it's got to be something to do with the fact that they darken out the seats and they only light up the court, I think. I mean, that's just my opinion. But if you go back and look, they don't shoot well in Staples Center against the Lakers. I think they shoot a little bit better against the Clippers because the whole arena's lit up. But the Lakers, they darken the whole arena except for the court. So the fact that they didn't need the three ball tonight, I think that's a good thing. If they can continue to push the pace and get the twos and not rely on the threes,
Just
I think
keep running.
Keep running. Just keep running.
Run. And the key is don't foul and allow the Lakers to get set in their half-court defense. Because every time the Lakers are set, the Warriors struggle more. But when they run in transition, that's when the Warriors can, really take it to them. Because the Lakers are slower, and with Draymond pushing and Wiggins, just got to be if they play with the same intensity and don't foul and give the Lakers easy, stop the clock, I think they got a great shot.
What do you guys think the chances are of AD not playing? I think it's
he's playing. He's
playing.
Zero.
Zero.
He's playing.
Yeah, 5%.
He's absolutely playing. He's playing. And not only that, he's playing great.
If
And he's
it
hitting
was the
big shots.
if it was the NFL, there's a potential, but the NBA doesn't do concussion protocol like the NFL does.
Yeah. So he's
if he plays and he's concussed, he ain't going to be that effective.
Draymond hit his head harder the last game.
Yeah, but it's where you get hit. It's where you get hit in your head. It depends.
I'm playing.
It didn't even look like he got hit that hard.
I guess you guys don't even notice it, but Danny was hit really hard in the head this afternoon. And he's here, and look at him. I mean, he sounds sounds really very much like Danny normally sounds. Damian Mercury. This one is interesting. This is an interesting chat. What do you guys think of this? He says, I really like Steph, Wiggins, GP2, Draymond Green, and Dante. He likes that lineup.
That's a hell of a defensive lineup right there.
That needs to be our closing lineup. Now,
only if Wiggins is aggressive Wiggins as opposed to passive Wiggins.
But I mean, that's gonna hurt. That one's gonna hurt, right? Because Klay Thompson's gonna be sitting there staring at Steve Kerr, going, "What the hell's going on here?"
Mm-hmm.
So does Kerr have the guts?
There's not enough shooting in that lineup late.
Suppose you have 12. Suppose you have 12 and you got a defensive stance. I mean,
if you want to put that lineup on the floor for maybe 2 possessions, I could see yes.
Okay, all right.
But the challenge you run into is you've got to have the offensive threats. The beautiful thing is if the Warriors play Game 6 like they play Game 4, but they actually execute in the fourth quarter, then you'll see Game 7. And here's the one thing that any fan knows. If somehow, by some way, they can be up late in that game, the fear that'll be in the crypto.com arena will begin to resonate loudly. And we know the narrative before a Game 7, if there was ever one played, would be, can the Warriors get back LBJ from when he got them down 3-1? So there's going to be a lot going on, but at the end of the day, the most important thing is go into Game 6, be solid, take high-quality shots, don't have shot turnovers, and do not foul so that you get beat up on the foul line.
Yeah, my key to the game, I'm backing off what Dan said. I want aggressive Draymond Green. Good things happen when Draymond is being aggressive, getting the ball. Steph commands so much attention. Draymond's getting the ball, attacking the rim at advantageous situations, or getting it to GP2 and he's cutting, he's getting the dunk. I want aggressive Draymond and Andrew Wiggins. I want more of that Andrew Wiggins we got tonight, because when Andrew's right, in my opinion, he's the second best player on this team. So I'm hoping he gets back to that. That's how the Warriors got the championship last year, from Wiggins' stellar play.
The only thing I'd love to see Wiggins rebound it like he did last year. I don't think we've seen that guy all this entire playoffs. And the only thing I'll say about Poole, and I understand he's out there largely to stretch the floor and this and that, to be another, but he loves, I mean, we saw it in this game, how many super deep 3-4 feet beyond the arc threes is Jordan Poole going to take before somebody's going to pull him aside and say, Jordan, that's not your game. That's just not your game. And I know he loves it. He sees Steph do it. He feels like, I want to do it too. That's not his game.
He needs to learn to get a floater. He needs to learn to get like a Fox floater, because he's quick as Fox. He can get around people and get into the lane and just jump stop and just a little float game. Just that's what he needs to learn. He needs to learn a floater.
He actually has a floater. For whatever reason, he prefers that pullback. It's a sexier move, but it's not as efficient of a move.
How much do you guys fear the refs in Game 6?
A lot. I do.
I don't.
A lot.
I just want it called fairly. I just want to tonight. I got to be honest. I thought the Warriors got the benefit of the whistle in just a few plays that come to mind, where there was GP2 had hit a ball out of bounds. Oh shoot!
Don't make us question it with
LeBron's
a huge, massive disparity.
Back to the basket, right? The 5-second back. I haven't seen that one called.
That was a good call, though. That was a great call.
I hadn't seen that call either.
I thought it was
5-second call.
I mean, I'm not complaining, but I thought it was quick. And then Austin Reeves, there was an Austin Reeves turnover. I don't know if it was a carry or what. I still don't know what it was. But I just want Game 6 to be officiated fairly. I don't want nothing lopsided. Let's just call a true game.
Who are they gonna bring in? It feels like a Tony Brothers type game.
If Tony Brothers is there, the Warriors got a chance.
I feel like it's Tony Brothers.
If he's there, then I like the Warriors' chance.
Yeah, because he doesn't take any from anybody. He'll stand up to even LeBron if LeBron is barking at him. It's going to come down to the emotional stability, particularly in that second and third quarter when a team is trying to make a run and you need to fight it off. If you lose it, where you get emotional and you get take foul and then a technical and then maybe a technical from the bench, that kind of stuff's just going to kill you. So the team that can handle their emotions in Game 6 is going to end up winning the game.
I just, I don't want to hear an explanation from anybody at the end of Game 6 about how, well, the Warriors are this kind of team and the Lakers are that kind of team, and that's why there's this 24-point disparity in the number of free throw attempts. Call it even, man. Call it even. Figure out a way to call it even. Doesn't have to be right down the middle. I understand it could be Lakers plus 5 attempts, Lakers plus 7 attempps. It can be something normal in their favor. I just don't want to see Lakers plus 25 attempts or Lakers plus 30 attempts. You know what I mean? I don't want to see that kind of game where we have to then sit there and be like, well, wait a second, I'd like it to be somewhat even. I know that's not necessarily, how this thing works, but that's just for my own feeling on it. I'd like to see it be pretty even. I thought it was key the way the Warriors ended the first half on that 16-5 run. Then Curry with the deep 3 at the buzzer right before the half, sending him to the locker room up 11. The Lakers are putting a run on them, and Golden State goes 16-5 into the locker room. I thought that was a really big finish. I mean, that stood out to me. The other thing that stood out to me is, man, I guess I haven't given Reeves enough credit. Reeves has got some real game.
Crafty.
He does. He's got some real game. He can handle. He makes smart decisions with the ball. He can operate under pressure in the half court. He's obviously got range on his shot. he does a lot of nice things.
Do you see what Kerr did? He finally put GP2 on Lonnie Walker. He's like, oh shit, I made a mistake in the fourth quarter. I shouldn't have subbed him out and put Moody in there. So he just straight put him on there on Lonnie Walker and shut him down pretty much.
I'm gonna date myself, but Austin Reeves reminds me of the great Paul Westwall. I mean, he's bigger, but Paul Westwall had that type of game
with the Sonics,
Suns,
right?
Yeah, Suns, Sonics, Boston Celtics. I guess he's All-American at USC. That's before my time. But that in-between game, he's real savvy. He has a mid-range. He can shoot the three. He's big. He can shoot over people. Austin Reeves is a real player. And he's a great compliment to what the Lakers have. But, yeah, man, I'm with you, Larry, with regards to the less we talk about the referees, the more I think the Warriors have an opportunity to come back to San Francisco for Game 7.
Yeah. Hey, did you hear Chris Haynes' report after the game? He said
I did not.
That Chris Haynes said that they had to wheel Anthony Davis over because the locker room is opposite the Warriors bench at Chase, the visiting locker room. So they wheeled him over because he was dizzy. And now they're saying he's doing much better. And the spin that Darwin Ham and the Lakers are, that he's fine, avoided a concussion. But look at this video of him walking out of the locker room. Now, I don't know what his gait normally looks like. I don't know how Anthony Davis walks, but tell me if you think he looks a little wobbly here.
I was looking at Danny's phone. Have you noticed that?
Let
me see.
Watch Davis walk in there. He looks almost like he wobbles a little bit on this back end here when they show it.
Is that Anthony Davis or is that somebody from Del Boca Vista?
Yeah, that's Anthony. Yeah, but
right.
I don't know. I don't know what he walks like, but he looked. I mean, unless he's just
he doesn't walk anything like that. Normally, he walks on his hands. That's unbelievable. He does cartwheels, and that shows a lot of. No, I'm just joking.
He looks a little.
He looked a little woozy
slow.
there. He definitely looked a little woozy. Speaking of a little woozy, we welcome in the man who's locked on. Mark Hope says, "Congrats, Lair. Damon live right now on his channel with 180 people. Cy was just live with 250.
350. Went up to 350.
350. Larry Legend with 350 in 15 minutes. Actually, we're at 458 right now.
Nice.
458 and climbing. Most 457 of them are here. 462. 461 of them are here for Dan Cochimilio.
I would have had
150
more if Kylan was with me. She always bumps it up by like 150 to 200.
Yeah, wonder why. So, Sai, give us your take. I was just saying how the Warriors had that nice finish to the first half on a 16-5 run, and I thought that gave them a little bit of a lift. The second half, Golden State came out in the third and kind of really took control. And I looked up, boom, it was 79-61. Lakers definitely got a little closer than that and made it interesting, but Warriors pulled away and kind of turned the most of the fourth quarter into garbage time. Give me your breakdown on the game.
Yeah, there were three things that stuck out to me, and I was giving Kerr a lot of credit tonight. I'm always going to give him his credit when it's due, even though every time I do that, or I did that tonight, a lot of people in the chat were like, hey, man, he just did what was obvious. But look, he wasn't doing what was obvious. So the fact that he did it tonight was awesome. And the three things were, one, the Golden State Warriors remember that in the postseason, you're not winning titles. You're not being successful if you rely on your three-point shot. And they kept things basic. You saw an aggressive Wiggins. You saw an aggressive Draymond Green, and it resulted in free throws. It resulted in easy baskets. It resulted in 6 more field goal attempts compared to Game 4. And you also had, I believe, 8 less three-point attempts. So they simplified the offense by making the extra pass if necessary, by not forcing threes. And that puts pressure on the Lakers because they're not getting those easy transition baskets that they routinely get every time the Warriors hoist dumb threes and miss it, and it lets the Lakers go on a run. So that was huge. I thought the fact that you saw more than 12 minutes from the team's bigs outside of Dre was huge. I thought that was a huge mistake that they made in Game 4 because Dre's going to get his minutes. He'll get his 30, 35, but you have other bigs on this team. And in Game 4, it was a total of 12 minutes between Looney and Jermichael Green, and that was it. And when you're playing a Lakers team who is already relying largely on size, you're putting so much pressure on your smaller players by not bringing in some help of your own. And so tonight that help came from Looney, where his minutes nearly doubled. I thought Looney had a fantastic game. I'm glad I don't know if he's feeling better and if that's the reason why, or if they just Curtis realized he needed him that much more. But Looney was huge. And besides Draymond being amazing, besides Wiggins being phenomenal tonight with his aggressiveness, kudos to Kerr for playing Looney, double what he played him in games 3 and 4. And the third was thankfully remembering that Gary Payne II is made for this series. This is a player who was out of the rotation early on. And then in the 2 games he's played, he's not only obviously a great defensive player, but what he's shown us offensively is that, look, he's not a playmaker, but he is a finisher. He finishes great at the rim. He makes phenomenal passes. And when he gets that extra pass, he doesn't let the team down. And this time Kerr played him solid minutes, 27, when it mattered. And that's really what stuck out the most to me in game 4 was the fact that Gary Payne II was nowhere to be found in that fourth quarter. Tonight, they didn't need that, but he was there every time. Like I forgot who mentioned it. Like when Lonnie Walker was at any point looking to go off, there was GP2. He was huge tonight. So those are the 3 things that stuck out to me the most in this win.
I think Looney didn't play much in game 4 because he wasn't feeling that great.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if Kerr would have played GP2, down the stretch in a close game, but that to me, keep starting GP2 because as Cy just said, he allows you to play small and fast, but then he can finish inside. So, and he makes good decisions passing in the lane. But the only difference is play him in the fourth against whoever's hot. Whoever's hot, put GP2 on him. He's an impact defender. I think that's got to be part of it for sure. What do you guys fear in game 7 or in game 6 Friday night? Are we going to see another, do you, I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things where, I don't know if does the league have a feeling on this one? I mean, I know the league wanted to see the Warriors over Sacramento, but who's the bigger draw? Who's the bigger draw? Who actually makes more money for the league in the conference finals? Golden State or the Lakers?
Golden State.
You think so?
See, I feel like the league would love to see LeBron win his 5th championship. So then next year they can just run back. Oh, he's trying to chase MJ for his 6th. The whole year we just shove it down our throats. So I actually think that they would love to see LeBron in the finals.
I don't think so. And I'm gonna tell you why. I don't think that they really feel most people think Denver is better than the Lakers. And Denver is not a good matchup for the Lakers. And they're not the best matchup for the Warriors either. But I think that the Warriors probably have a little better, like a smaller chance of possibly overcoming that obstacle because I think that their backcourt players are better than Denver's players collectively. But I just think that Denver would beat the Lakers. And
Denver's got dudes, man. Denver's got some dudes.
They have dudes, and just the fact that Jokic would overwhelm Anthony Davis. They don't have anybody who's a backup center that they could put on the floor to do anything with him. AD would be dealing with foul troubles. He'd be living on the line. They just can't do that. They've got Aaron Gordon to guard LeBron, and he's physical enough to make LeBron have to work super hard. It really isn't a great matchup for the Lakers, particularly a team that doesn't shoot the ball that well. And they have nobody they can put on Jamal Murray because if they try to put Vanderbilt on him, they're just going to pick and roll him to death.
It's a horrible matchup for the Lakers.
So are the Suns out? Did I miss something?
They're going to be.
What is it? Is it 3-2 right now?
Yeah.
I don't back to Phoenix.
They probably will lose, but I don't want to just assume that Booker and KD are just going to fold. Anything could happen.
It's not an assumption, but if you're going to look forward, you could look forward to a Phoenix Laker or Phoenix Warrior matchup, and in both of those cases, I think both the Lakers and the Warriors would have an advantage on Phoenix because their depth is just so shaky.
And Phoenix is not together. Did you see Ayton get out of the huddle?
No.
The other day? You didn't see that?
No.
That's been all year. That's been like 2 years straight.
Ayton was sitting in the huddle, KD said something to him. Somebody else said something. The guard Booker, or Devin Booker, right? He said something to him, and Ayton got up and walked to the other side of the huddle, and got like 8 feet away from him. So
he doesn't want to be there.
There's been a couple bad. There's been 2 years now of bad vibes in Phoenix.
Yeah,
he took the money. He wanted to be in Indiana. He's going to want to be traded at the end of this season because there's no focus on him, and he'll never develop what he really wants to be, which is a premier center there. And he wants to be gone. So
he's soft.
You know what? I
saw another video. Chris Paul's trying to talk to him and get his attention and dap him up, and Ayton's just completely ignoring him. So yeah, it's a mess over there.
Everybody knew this, though. I mean, I've been tweeting about this for over a year. And you know what, man? Yeah, they expect professionals to be above the fray and not be emotional. But the reality is Phoenix handled that situation horribly, right? They told DeAndre Ayton and his agent, we don't think that you're worth the money that you want. Go find somebody who's going to pay you. That's exactly what they did. And then Phoenix comes back, well, we're not going to let you go there. The money's guaranteed, just like Jordan Poole. So now you're going to motivate this guy to come and be a part of your team and do what you ask him to do? No, it's not going to happen. So I think that they screwed that thing up. And you know what? He's not a bust. He's leaning towards that direction. But I think in the right environment, with a collective that really cares about this guy, I think that he could be more than he is in Phoenix. And
well, they matched it. They matched the deal. And I think they probably matched it with the idea of, hey, look, let's retain our asset and we'll trade him. But big men in today's NBA don't have the same cachet. They probably didn't get the kinds of offers they wanted, and they're stuck sitting there going, "Wait a second, now we're going to have to offload them with some pain and take back some ugly contract because there's not enough interest in him."
You're right.
And so they're stuck with him, and now he's like an island unto himself. But it's 2 years in a row now that their chemistry is showing. Their lack of chemistry. It showed last year. It's showing this year. What did you guys think late third quarter when Golden State shot 0 for 9 on threes in the third.
Yeah.
And had 5 turnovers. And it was, now granted, Poole hit that deep 3 to end the third, but it was 92-82 or 93-82. It was 11-point lead for Golden State.
Steph hit that. Steph hit it, I think, right?
Was it Steph? No, that was at half. I'm talking about the end of the third. Steph hit the ball going into the half. I thought Poole hit the deep 3 going into the fourth. Maybe I'm wrong. But LeBron scored inside to make it a 10-point game, and then Poole. My point was just that I thought Golden State there was starting to turn it over. They were not hitting their threes. It seemed like the game was hanging in the balance. And I thought one really kind of underrated part of this game that we're not going to talk about because it doesn't really shine through in the box score. But I thought Kevon Looney's rebounding in the second half. I'd have to look at the box, third quarter only box, fourth quarter only box. But my recollection at half was that he didn't have a lot of rebounds, but he came up with a number of big rebounds in that second half.
No, you did.
Yeah, I love Loon. And in that third quarter, you said it, 0 for 9 from 3. But Larry, what the Warriors didn't do, they didn't stop playing defense. These guys, they were locked in defensively, and that's what kept them in. And even though the offense might have sputtered there for a little bit in the third, and that's where I'm crediting GP2, Draymond, Andrew Wiggins was spectacular. Even Curry started, Reeves got going early in the game. I thought Reeves, first quarter, second quarter, Reeves was in a good flow. But second half, I thought Curry made things difficult on Reeves. So defensively, it was a great performance. And that's what kept him in it and kind of kept my confidence flowing because just of how well they were playing on that side.
Yeah, I never really felt like the game was, even when the Lakers cut it to 9, Warriors quickly put it back up. I didn't feel like the game was in jeopardy. I didn't think the Lakers had enough in them to make the run that it would have taken to come all the way back. It would have been interesting had they done it, because had they got all the way back, cut it down to 2 or something like that, they would have used up a lot of energy And I think they were conserving, I mean, I think they were going to keep trying to, obviously cut it. But when it got to 9 and the Warriors pushed it right back up to double digits, they push it up to 12, 13 right away again. And it was like, it takes too much energy to make the runs.
Who's got more pressure on them in the series going into Game 6? Who do you guys think?
I think the Lakers.
The Warriors.
The Warriors.
I say Lakers.
I
don't know about that. I don't see the Lakers beating the Warriors in Game 7 at Chase. I think the Warriors are going to beat them in Game 7. So I think the pressure's on LA. I really do.
Agreed.
Well, the pressure is on the Warriors simply because of the math. If the Warriors don't win, they're done. The Lakers, even though you might not think they could win Game 7, you have an opportunity to win Game 7 if you're in it. And they're already guaranteed to play in a Game 7 if the series goes that far. So the actual pressure is on the Warriors. But as the game goes on, as it starts looking like the Warriors are either right there, nip and tuck, or the Warriors are controlling the flow of the game, if they can control the flow of the game like they did early in Game 4 in Los Angeles and continue that pace, Draymond keeps pushing, they keep rebounding the basketball and keep attacking the rim when opportunities present themselves, then the pressure will jump on the Lakers' back. Because what they do not want is to come home and have the Warriors on a winning streak, having won that 29th road game in a series in a row, and now they get a chance to put the crescendo on it at the Chase Center on a Sunday.
That's
why I think everybody
6, but it's Game 7 for both teams. There'd be 2 Game 7s because Lakers have to win. They're going in as we got to win. They don't want to come back to San Francisco for a Game 7.
Yeah, I mean, they've got 2 to get 1. I mean, we all know the setup.
Yeah.
The Warriors got to get 2. Lakers got to get 1 out of 2. I just think that everybody knows that teams up 3-1 in the playoffs win that series 90% of the time. Everybody knows that stats. There's people that don't know anything about basketball that know, hey, if you're up 3-1, man, you win 90% of the time. Okay, you know that stat. Everybody knows that stat. And to me, that kind of hangs over, I think. Once they went up 3-1, they were expected to finish.
You got to rerun the numbers now because it's not 3-1. 3-1 was yesterday. Now it's 3-2.
But that's the narrative. But the narrative is they're going to blow a 3-1 lead, and it's not just that. It's the Warriors. That's a demon that's been on the Warriors' backs for 7 years. That 3-1 lead that they blew back in 2016, and to have the opportunity to exact revenge on that.
Yes,
and it's LeBron of all people. It's that Lakers fan base, the most annoying fan base on the planet of all people.
Yes.
And for the Warriors to come back down 3-1, if they can do that, that is huge. So that's why I'm with you, Larry. That the pressure's all. LA is very aware that if they lose that game, they're fucked. It's part of my French. They're fucked.
Yeah.
They're fucked. So I think it's all completely
fire the Diane Cannon. You're absolutely right. No, I mean, what do you guys think? I think the pressure's on LA because of the 3-1 lead that they had, and that will be the story. Hey, man, I mean, the Lakers are a proud franchise. They also measure themselves with championships. Their fans are more spoiled than the Warriors fans, are more entitled than the Warriors fans. You think they're going to sit there? This isn't Sacramento. This isn't going to be like, hey, guys, great year, Monty McNair, way to go. Mike Brown, I love that Harley. Let's go, DeMontis. Everybody's hustling. We're coming. No, there's going to be AM 570 is going to be call after call after call. We fucked up. We blew a 3-1 lead. We gagged. We choked. It's their expectations are they're going to the next round, and if the Warriors beat them in Game 6. This thing could turn. I think the pressure is squarely on the Lakers now.
I think it's on the Lakers for this reason. I was thinking about this today. Even if the Warriors win a championship this year, and they can, to some degree, there's going to be some change in how this team is orchestrated and constructed. What they did not want to do is lose their last game as a triumvirate on their home court. And they came out tonight and they won that game. If they lose Friday night, they don't have a game on Sunday. So the last memories that you have of the Warriors is winning on their home court. So I think that the pressure, if there was some, it was on them tonight to be who they are. On Friday night, they're kind of playing with house money because if they win Friday night, nobody on this program now thinks that they're going to lose Game 7 at home. So, I think the Lakers have the most pressure on them. I think the Warriors have a frame of reference of winning on other teams' home courts. They won a championship last year on Boston's parquet floor. They don't have the parquet anymore. But, yeah, man, I think the Warriors right now are feeling great. Not only that, again, they haven't played an A game. They played a B, solid B plus game. There's an A game in there somewhere. And hopefully it's going to be Friday night.
Well, Steph said in the post game on TNT, he said we could play better. We haven't played. He said exactly what you just said, Frank. They haven't played their best game yet. So, and hey, what happens if Clay goes off Game 6? Clay.
See, here's the one thing about that. I hope nobody on 95.7 or KMBR or anybody really talks about Game 6 Clay, because we need Klay Thompson to live in the present, not in the past, because Klay Thompson, who lives in the past, thinks it's birthright to fire up bad shots because he's Klay and he's going to hit the next one. Klay Thompson on May 10th of 2023 is really not that player anymore, and we need him to have better shot selection. They've been talking about it. They've talked to him about it like 3 or 4 different times in these playoffs. To me, if you say biggest fear, Krug, going into Game 6, biggest fear, Pools, shrivel up his ass and he doesn't show up, and Klay Thompson thinks he's Game 6 Klay and shoots them out of it. That's my biggest fear. That is my biggest fear. Klay Thompson shooting them out of it, trying to rekindle. It's like every time Klay Thompson's dribbling the ball, they ought to play, glory days out there, because it's like he's and all this stuff where he's like, hey man, look at this is all about past stuff. Let's focus on tonight. Because right now he ain't that guy, and it's nothing. Father Time's undefeated. It ain't personal, Klay. It's not like you're the only person who's ever aged in the game, but age gracefully and square up in the 2-point range and knock those shots down. And I'd rather him take more shots than he took tonight, but from 2 with the shoulders squared, good looks, and I'll live or die with Klay in the 2-point range rising up. I do not want to see him hunting Game 6 Klay, yesteryear, shooting them out of it. It's my biggest fear.
Larry, he actually made more threes tonight than 2s.
I'm just saying, I like him more right now, Carl, in the 2 range. He knows Game 6 Klay. We all know the legacy of Game 6 Klay. I don't want this season going down the toilet hunting for Game 6 Klay when I don't think he's the guy that should be taking the majority of the shots. I'd rather see him take fewer shots, closer range shots, go to the bucket, go to the line. Klay, Poole, come on. You got 2 guys there. I mean, think about this, guys. Let's be logical here. The Warriors have not been able to finish all year, and yet they've got 3 of the best free throw shooters the NBA has ever seen. That in and of itself means that Kerr is not emphasizing the right things at the right time. All right. And I love Kerr, but you have the best free throw shooters. You should be the closer of closers, and you're not. So why aren't you? It's because you've given your guys too much license for these deep threes and not enough emphasis on let's go to the line. When the Warriors are up 10, they shouldn't be like, uh-oh. They should have Klay Thompson and Jordan Poole attacking inside. Klay's great with the fakes. Go to the line. Please go to the line, because those guys are going to make all the free throws.
They actually had 15
I don't believe they're going to make
tonight,
threes.
and the same as the Lakers. They actually were 14 of 15. The reason they got to the hoop tonight and more to the line is because they drew Anthony Davis out. They took him away from the key, brought him out, and it's just like drive-by every time. I think they feel really confident getting a step on AD and just going to the hoop. And
Damon. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Look who showed up. Look who showed up. You know what? Should we?
I heard you needed a closer.
You know what? Yeah. You know what? Let's just, since Damon is his first appearance on the post game, Damon, which box would you like to be in? Where would you like to be on this Brady Bunch deal? Where would you like to be? You want Danny's box? I'll put you there.
I want Larry's box.
You want me?
Larry's box.
You're up there. You're there.
I feel much better now.
I want Baller's box. All
Welcome,
right,
everyone,
Frank.
to the Blues.
Where would you like
Good
to be,
have you
Frank?
Here.
Hey,
We're brought to you by
I'm
Pig and a
sitting pretty
Pickle.
right now.
Go ahead and try the New York sausage. It's all good stuff. No, I just did about an hour over on my thing, and I wanted to come on by and say hello to you guys. I heard you did a 5.5-hour marathon after the Game 4 loss. So, I had to stop on by tonight. I was at the game for the first half, came home because we had grandparents sitting on the kids. But I'll tell you, it was tight in there. And I joined you. I was sitting in your waiting room, guys, as you were all talking about, Clay. And if Game 6 Clay could rear his head in Game 6, that would be fantastic. I was listening to what you're saying. We've talked about this a lot, Larry. You're right about Clay. I will say the best aspect of his game tonight was his self-editing. Clay did not shoot the Warriors too early, too often out of this game. He only took 13 shots, I believe, in the 12 shots. He's 3 of 12, finished with 10 points, a pedestrian night, but he wasn't seeking the way that he can start damaging the Warriors' offensive possessions. So I thought he did a nice job self-editing tonight, and that's a big reason why the Warriors got the win.
And it's a key for Game 6. It's a key for Game 6.
Oh, look at what there he is. Oh, you want to go bobbleheads?
What do you got?
What's he got here?
Well, you got a Clay. You got Captain Clay. I got a Clay. I can put Clay on top of the ganja jar.
Oh, wait a second. There you go. Wait a second. I can top all that.
What you got, Larry?
Oh, is it bust out your doll time here on the Krug Show?
Come on, Red.
Bobbleheads and your weed.
Love it.
I have my New York Knicks cup. All right.
There you go, Knicks. Still alive, baby.
My New York Knicks cup.
I got a real thing.
All right.
How full is that?
So you got a Clay. You got another Clay. Look what I got. I got a Rennell.
Oh boy!
Wow.
First, I got a Rennell.
Hair. I love the hair on the Rennell.
Rennell sent me this. It's awesome. Rennell is my girl. There we go. I've got a Rennell.
Rennell.
Nice.
Yes.
Do you like?
Look at the hair.
I love it.
I know it's red. It's really red too, but it's a good one. It has her in a kind of a tank top workout outfit. Rennell Brookmoon. She's a great lady. As far as this game goes, one of the things I commented on after Game 4 was I thought it was really important that Golden State get a one-sided win in the next game, because I just don't know that they can grind out. I don't know if they can mentally or emotionally grind out three nail biters. They got a nice win tonight. I mean, it was a good separation, right? 15-point win.
Quick, Larry, how awesome was it that they kept the Lakers close the entire game? I don't know if that's by design, probably not. But you force LeBron James to play 39 minutes. You force AD to get clocked and potentially concussed, playing real minutes instead.
Yeah. It was perfect. It was perfect because the Warriors didn't expend a ton of emotional energy because they led throughout, even though there were nip and tuck parts. I mean, I shouldn't say they led throughout. The game, Lakers took several leads, but they spurted on them in the third, and fourth quarter was mostly garbage time. But to me, it was like, the one thing you can't have those grinder games every single game. But I also love the fact that Darvin Ham didn't call off the dogs and put in the B team until I think it was like maybe 4 minutes left. So his guys had are aged. I mean, we talked about it before. Really, LeBron's the only real old guy. A lot of these guys are in their prime, but just to make them expend their energy, play the full game, don't just sit on the bench the entire fourth quarter. I think it's advantage Warriors. What's the key Friday night in Game 6? Is it the first quarter? Is it a certain matchup? Is it a lineup? Is there going to be a wrinkle that we're not anticipating from either side? Or if you're Kerr, do you stay with the lineup with GP2? let's go around the room. Damon, we'll start with you. What do you think we're going to see Friday night?
Turnovers. I mean, look, it's going to be a
Don't
tight
turn
game.
it over.
Yeah, you got to control the turnovers. This is the biggest do not step on your own dick game of the year for the Golden State Warriors. They can get loose with the ball at home in a way that they can't get loose with the ball on the road. You can't have that Dante DiVincenzo looking to make a move and stepping out of bounds, like unforced error turnover. There's a difference between live ball, live action turnovers and dumb fucking turnovers. They just got to eliminate the dumb, terrible turnovers.
Like his inbounds to in game 4 when he threw the ball to the he's trying to inbound to Steph and he threw the ball to Lakers. Yeah, that fucking can't happen.
You cannot make it's my own fault mistake. If a Laker jumps into a passing lane and makes a great play, that's called basketball. But you can't have the self-inflicted wounds, and you can't have a situation where Steve Kerr, post-game is talking about how the officials were falling for the old banana in a tailpipe the entire game. You can't have flopping and a radical free throw disparity affect the outcome of the game. The Warriors have been in every game where there hasn't been some sort of monster free throw disparity. So don't help the Lakers beat you, I think, is the key to surviving game 6.
Frank?
Yeah, I think no team's going to win when they have a whole lot of turnovers. So that goes for the Lakers as well. My concern is really about how the game is refereed. And if they allow the Warriors to be physical, because I think the Warriors are the more physical team. I think they proved that tonight. And, when Draymond is able to play Anthony Davis physically, the Warriors have a tremendous advantage. If Draymond gets into foul trouble early on some BS fouls, then that is going to draw a big hole in the Warriors' defense, and I think that creates tremendous opportunities for the Lakers. So I'm looking at the tenor of the game. I want them to officiate this game the way that the Miami Heat and the Knicks are being officiated.
Yes.
Let the players decide the outcome, and if they do that, the Warriors are going to be in Game 7.
Tammy McDaniel, it wouldn't be a Krug show if Tammy McDaniel didn't throw some love towards Cy.
Cy's number one fan.
Cy's in Russian River, Tammy. Cyrus knows his basketball. Yes, he does.
Thank you,
He
Tammy.
does. How's Bubba?
He's good. He's passed out again.
CBD? CBD passed out or passed out?
Sleeping like an angel. He's whatever you want to call it. He's sleeping like an angel. Yes. He's,
Carl, go ahead. Go ahead, Cy.
His CBD is vet recommended. So just for anyone who's concerned,
there you go. He's got a doctor's note. It's like, excuse me, officer. Yes, I've got a note from my doctor. Carl, what's the key? Game 6.
I love Damon's take, and if you add in Red's take, that's really the appetizer and the main course. We know officiating is going to dictate pace, it's going to dictate advantage, but Damon said really what you have to be focused on, which is the Warriors playing a clean game. So I'm gonna just go with dessert. The dessert is the cobbler. Can Steve Kerr cobble
peach cobbler?
No, you want sweet potato. That's from North Louisiana. But
you like to eat, Foss. You like to eat, man.
Yes, I do. But it's going to be, can he cobble together lineups when Steph's out of the game that can be effective? And when he has to give Draymond rest, can he get productivity out of his guys off the bench? And then for Darvin Ham, because we have to look at it from his side as well. He played a lot of minutes tonight with Hachimura. He played a lot of minutes tonight with Vanderbilt, and they didn't get a lot of productivity. So he's got to find a way to get some other player to bring an offensive punch. I thought there was a huge overreaction on Lonnie Walker. No disrespect to the great game he had, but they're not going to count on him for double-figure scoring. So it's going to be, can they get baskets out of some players that the Warriors are giving away points to guys that they don't expect to see a lot of scoring out of?
You know what surprised me tonight quite a bit was how few calls the King got. Didn't you feel like that one where he scored over 3 Warriors?
He was hacked.
There was some contact, huh?
He got hacked, and man, he looked at the officials like, "Am I retired? It's like, aren't I still me? I don't get that call anymore." I mean, that was, and I feared that because I'm looking at that going, there's a makeup call or several coming in Game 6.
Oh, don't say that.
And I
please.
hope that's not the case, but I fear that.
Of course, they let him
you don't
walk.
wanna
They
see-
let him walk though. So
Brian Gavin's asking about Dave Chappelle. He said, Otter's site, Dave Chappelle rocking a tank top at Chase or Matthew McConaughey bromancing with Mark Benioff. Is Chappelle a Warrior fan?
He's big in the Bay Area.
He's here a lot. Yeah, he's here a lot.
Yeah, he got a lot of friends in the Bay Area.
McConaughey is on the Salesforce payroll. Remember, he was in their Super Bowl commercial where he's flying around in the clouds and shit, and he's like, "Hey, man, we're making the world better." So that guy's on the payroll. He's hanging out with Mark Benioff because that guy cut a $5 million check to show up at Dreamforce.
My favorite SNL making fun of anybody is when they make fun of McConaughey's commercials for. Is it for Lincoln? His Lincoln commercials?
Like the Buick or something? Yeah.
Well, no, he's just driving. He's just talking about nothing. Absolutely nothing. You know, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking.
The Lincoln Lawyer.
It's just.
That was a great movie.
You want to
Underrated
reach
movie.
through
Totally
the
underrated movie. I like the Lincoln Lawyer.
It is a good
Me
movie.
too.
Agreed.
that commercial though for Lincoln where he's sitting there and just pontificating to nobody as he's. I mean, you just want to reach through the TV and choke the guy.
He's rolling a booger.
Baller, go ahead. What do you think? What do you think? Game 6, Friday night.
I want to contain the Lakers role players, just like they did today. You know,
Exactly.
Anthony Davis, he's going to get his. LeBron James is going to get his. But you look at the rest of these guys. I can live with D'Lo going for 15, Austin Reeves 15. Those are guys that you don't want to go for 20 plus. And then Hachimura, 4 points tonight. Vanderbilt gave him a bagel. Like, I want more of that. Contain the Lakers role players. And this is going to Game 7. And then I got to add in, I'm pumped up to be on with D. Bruce because I've been listening to Bruce for years. You know, Indiana basketball. I like that Cody Zeller, Victor Oladipo squad. And I know you did too, Bruce. So I'm pumped up to be here.
Well, thank you so much. You're making me blush. Thank you very much.
No doubt.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if everybody knows everybody here, but of course, everybody knows Damon. Damon, you know Carl, right?
Yes.
And you know Cy.
No, never. Nice to meet you, man.
You don't know
how
Proctor. Proctor Sean's one of our viewers, listeners, fans, whatever.
Nice to meet you, Damon.
What's
Damon.
going on, John?
Baller's got his own YouTube channel on the Niners and Warriors. One of the chillest dudes there is. And
Very
then
nice.
Dan Coachemilio is repping for all of the people in Arizona.
I know, Coach. We follow each other on Twitter now.
Hey,
there you go.
Yeah,
Hey.
absolutely.
Hey.
Dan
And
will
I-
call in.
Meet you, David.
Dan will call
yeah,
into
but-
Marty and say, you know what? Let me just make a quick comment before Andrea the astrologer jumps in.
It's the
And he'll-
tapestry. It's the tapestry of
It's the
baseball.
mosaic. It's the mosaic. Danny, go ahead. What do you got as far as Game 6? What are you thinking?
Baller took the words right out of my mouth.
All right, we'll go to Cy then. No, I'm
Don't
sure.
let the role players beat you because AD and LeBron, they're going to get theirs. You're not going to stop them, but don't let Walker, Hachimura, any of those guys go off. And so I think I think Damon hit it too. Don't turn the ball over. Keep the turnovers down. If they can keep the turnovers to single digits, 10 or less. I mean, I know 10's double digits, but 10 or less, you're going to be in the game. I mean, it's when the Warriors start getting up at, 13, 15, 18 turnovers, those just kill you. Stop. And I like what they did tonight. They didn't hoist shots early in the shot clock. In fact, they ran the clock all the way down to 1 a few times. Even Draymond hit that one shot.
That elbow jumper from Dray. They had 20 tonight.
Yeah. So
and he started his offense early. And I'll say that about Draymond. Draymond is a big game hunter.
No
right.
question.
This guy, go look at what he's done in all the biggest games in the Warriors run. He's played huge. Didn't he have like 32 and 14 or something like that in a triple double in a Game 7? He's
lost
a monster.
Cleveland Cavaliers, and
He's
yeah,
had
that
some
was the
monster
final we will not
games.
speak
Game
of.
7
So,
when they lost. Yeah.
I know they look at Draymond as a non-offensive player, But you know what? Early in these pressure-filled games, I like him to seek out his offense early because he becomes kind of a tone setter. Now, I'd much rather it not be at the three-point line.
Take what they give him, Larry. I mean, he's got to.
Yeah,
that's what keeps the offense balanced and honest.
Right.
And look, in what could be a walk year for him next year, if he does come back in a 1-year extension, you watch Draymond all of a sudden out of nowhere start averaging 12, 14 a game. And I never understood why someone who's as good of a player as he is just became such an afterthought in terms of scoring the basketball. We all know how involved in the offense he is. He's a point forward extraordinaire. He can run the entire offense from the point guard spot, or he can do it from the low post. But the lack of scoring is something I've never quite understood. So when he does do it, look, tonight he had 8 of the Warriors' first 14 points. Just like we all drew it up at work today when we were thinking about this game, right?
Right, exactly.
No one expected that. And when he does that, it creates an element of worry for a defense that basically thinks, oh, we can sag off Looney, we can sag off that guy. Really don't need to worry about DiVincenzo unless he's going to the rack because his jumper's not falling right now. So there's 3-4 guys out here we don't really need to worry about. When just Draymond changes that equation, it changes everything. And
I'm going to say this, though. He's a good student. I was listening to Tom Izzo tonight, and Izzo talked about what is Draymond's primary objective. It's to win. So, generally when Kerr says, Draymond, we need you to push the ball and get to the cup, then he does it, and it falls in those big moments. So I think that he just needs to be coached up and reminded that he's capable of scoring the basketball. Because if he can just let Clay and Steph and Looney and Wiggins do all the scoring and he get 19 rebounds and the Warriors still win, he's perfectly happy. But his game gets lost when he doesn't understand that he's an integral part of the offense. And I think most of the time it's in the big games when he has to revisit that part of his game.
New YouTube member. I always give a little clap for my YouTube members. Tellis Frank in the house. Tellis Frank from Western Kentucky, the Hilltopper.
Dick pic with that, or what? How does the membership really work?
Free bobblehead, free Larry Krueger bobblehead.
Oh, how does the membership work? Oh, it's funny you should ask, Damon. It's funny you should ask. Yeah.
Wait a minute, I just got a dick pic from Larry on my cell phone.
Wait a second.
Oh no!
Oh, you want to know how it goes? Oh, here it works.
Holy shit!
All right, it's got a nice little beat. It's got a nice little.
Is that Krug from the 90s or what?
It's got a nice little beat.
On public
Walt
access
Clark
TV.
Frazier is my favorite Knick player.
Be careful next time you ask how you can become a member. You can become a member. And Tellis Frank, of course. Who knows Tellis Frank? I mean, if you know Tellis Frank, raise your hand. If you don't know Tellis Frank, raise your hand.
Yeah, Damian LaRoche says
baller. Tellis Frank was the Warriors' #1 draft choice out of Western Kentucky in Carl 80
maybe 82
4
something
Oh, wow.
in there, somewhere between 82 and 84.
Yeah, somewhere.
Power forward, could push it a little bit. Looked athletic, but wasn't really athletic. A lot of people confused him with Frank Tellis.
I forget who we took Tellis Frank over, but I guarantee it's somebody awesome.
It was a good year for the
Freaking
Kentucky
awesome.
Hilltoppers, huh? Is that what you're telling me?
I'm gonna have to look it up actually to
Yeah.
find that because they took Tellis Frank over like Dale Ellis or somebody really good, Antoine Carr or something. We got this in the super chat. G2 the Universe, who by the way, G2, I sent you the Krug Show T-shirt. It should be arriving in Tracy later today, or maybe not later today, but soon. He says, so look, when a baby cries, adult nature is to attend to the child, right? Everyone instantly forgot about Green's noggin bounce and Looney's tune bump. All right.
What?
Okay.
Not really getting it, but
By the way, Tellis Frank, he averaged 6.5 points, 4 rebounds, and an assist over 264 career games. 2 glorious years with the Warriors. Then he goes to Miami. Goes to Italy in 90-91, plays for the Timberwolves, cup of coffee with them, 10 games, did not play, went back to Italy, then came back to Minnesota again. So that, Miami to Italy to Minnesota to Italy to Minnesota path that we've all traveled in life.
Okay, by the way, if you're like me and you're a glutton for punishment and you want to know, well, who could they have gotten if they hadn't drafted Tellis?
They could have got Mark Jackson or Reggie Lewis.
They could have gotten Mark Jackson. They could have had Mark Jackson or Reggie Lewis.
The great Reggie Lewis.
Number one pick in the draft that year was David Robinson.
You know who was the 127th and final pick of that draft?
Oh,
by the Warriors. It was the rights to Sharunas Marshallonis.
Oh, that was a bright side there.
Don Nelson.
Seriously.
With young Donnie.
Yeah, they took Tellis Frank over Christian Velp. You guys remember Christian Velp? Ken Norman.
7-footer.
Ken Norman, who was the man at Illinois back in the day. Dallas Comegys. You guys remember Dallas Comegys? Played for DePaul.
DC.
Cadillac Anderson from Houston. Steve Alford.
Career.
Ricky Winslow, who could jam, man.
There are not enough kids named Cadillac these days. To be totally honest with you.
Ricky Winslow could jam for the Cougars.
Yeah, he could jump.
He could really
Speaking of
run.
Cadillac, there's a player that plays for the Philadelphia 76ers. Let's test your knowledge. Who his nickname is the Minivan.
That's awesome.
Really?
Current Sixer?
Current Sixer?
Current.
Wait, don't tell me, and I won't look it up. I'm just looking at their roster. I'll get the minivan. I'll get the minivan, damn it.
He even shoots the 3-ball.
Shoots the 3-ball. Dwayne Dedman?
Nope.
Oh, damn it.
He gets minutes.
Jang.
Who did you say, Sean?
Is it Jang?
Yeah.
Georgie's
yeah.
Is it
he's kind of beefy. Yeah.
You're talking about Niang?
Yes, Niang.
Santa Cruz Warrior.
Niang. Yeah,
Yeah, they call him the minivan.
Minivan.
Awesome.
Does Kate Scott call him the minivan during broadcast?
I used to do commercials on KMBR for the Chrysler Pacifica. I'd have people walking in. Hey man, how you still driving that Pacifica?
Does Kate Scott know that that's his nickname? That's the real question.
I'm sure she does. She's on top of her game. Absolutely on top of her game. Are you guys surprised? I mean, I'm surprised with the way this series has gone. I didn't think the Lakers were this good. I thought the Warriors were going to smash the Lakers. I got people in the chat ringing me up saying, "Hey, man, because I had gentlemen's sweep. Damon, we went on. We talked about it before the series. I talked about it on here last series. I didn't give the Lakers any love at all. I thought Sacramento was a 3 seed. They had some scoring. They had some up tempo. They had the belief. I thought this Laker team was on fumes.
Look at it this way. Were you underestimating the Lakers, Larry, or were you underestimating who Anthony Davis was going to turn back into in this series? Because I think Anthony Davis, when he plays like this, just changes everything.
I think it's a combination. I didn't think that Kevon Looney could go from looking like that to what he's been in this series. Kevon Looney was awesome against Sacramento. And I just thought, well, he'll battle AD, but no, he's gotten his lunch handed to him most of this series. I thought not tonight. I thought tonight when they needed boards, I mean, he made a number of
timely rebounds, not gaudy amount, but he got the big boards when he needed it.
I talked to my brother Steve before the game. I said, what do you think the key is tonight? And he said that Looney would play a big role tonight. If he's healthy, you'll see him back to himself, and he believed that he's kind of been a missing piece. Because if you look at it, game 2, when did JaMychal start? Game 2?
Yep.
Looney was sick. So Looney's been basically down for games 2, 3, and 4. So tonight he started to, get those offensive rebounds in the second half. He was playing solid defense. He did get beat once to the hoop. I can't remember who blew by him, but if Looney is healthy, he adds a whole different element to the Warriors because they actually played him tonight with Draymond, 2 non-shooters, kind of. I mean, Draymond was pretty good offensively tonight, but they went back to that lineup at times, their starting 5, which was the most productive lineup in the NBA, starting 5.
Yeah, I want to piggyback off of Damon because the one thing that's really surprised me is how good Anthony Davis has been defensively. I knew he's a good defender, but I mean, game one, he was blocking so many shots. I think the Warriors kind of adjusted. And, one of your points, Larry, is why isn't Poole attacking the rim and getting to the foul line? I think Anthony Davis has been a deterrent. So that's probably
it also helps. Look, it helps a lot when the refs are giving Anthony Davis like 10, 15 free throws a game. Like in a game like tonight, when the refs actually stayed out of it in terms of being part of the game and the story. I mean, you see what happens, man. I mean, like to me, if both teams play to their full potential, the Warriors are the better team. I still firmly believe that. It's just the Warriors have been shooting themselves in the foot with a lot of dumbass shots, like relying on the three overly. When they simplify things, they win. One thing I wanted to point out for game 6, Stephen Curry tonight, I thought was brilliant in the sense that he wasn't forcing threes like he was in game 4. Still put up more than he should have, but he can get to the rim anytime he wants. The Lakers have no one who can stop him. So what he realized, what I saw tonight, and I think this will continue hopefully in game 6, is Steph just attacked the paint anytime he felt the Warriors needed points. And the only way the Lakers can stop that is by doubling him. And when you double Steph, he's fully aware that there's someone else wide open, and they're getting those points now. And that's where Gary Payton II really is coming through offensively. He always seems to be at the right place every time Steph's doubled, and he's the recipient of those passes for easy buckets. So I think as long as Steph just keeps things simple in game 6 and attacks the paint like he's been doing, they're going to be fine. I think they're going to be fine. But
and just to buttress Cyrus's point, one of the things that makes Gary Payton so valuable, it isn't just that they put him in pick and rolls. He is a great screener. If we remember the guy that he literally got traded for, James Wiseman, who we all wanted to see get a chance to develop and hope he could become the kind of quality big that some other guys are. That was one of his issues. He couldn't set a pick. He couldn't get the angle right. He didn't know how to hold the position. He
didn't make contact
to be sealed, and that's just not going to get there.
Let me say this.
Out there air screening guys.
From a Lakers standpoint, Darvin Ham clearly leans on kind of the nurturing, kind of pumping guys up to go out there and play. He hasn't made a whole lot of adjustments. We're talking about Friday night. If you really wanted to kind of put the Warriors off their heels, the Lakers should be playing zone. They don't play any zone.
I know. Why not?
They should be playing zone. They haven't played zone yet. And I'm like, you want to stop the Warriors from driving to the basket? Play zone.
Part of the reason, I think part of the reason is because when you play zone, you leave shooters open on the outside, and that's what Jordan Poole. That's when Poole and Clay can make their threes if they're wide open. They've been contested.
No, you're right, but you got to try.
I think that's why. I don't know, but
I mean, they haven't even tried it yet. I mean, I want the Warriors to win, but I'm just like I'm looking at this game from a strategic perspective. And if I got Anthony Davis and I got LeBron and I got Vanderbilt, I got all these guys, I have to see if the Warriors are going to be able to make perimeter shots. Because right now you look at Clay's percentage; he's probably shooting about 23%. Steph is not shooting well from the outside. Steph is brilliant in that. He's so damn smart. You know what? He loves to shoot threes. But he knew in this series, in this game, his advantage was going to the basket, setting his teammates up for 14 assists and getting layups himself after drawing Anthony Davis out. So, the intelligence, the basketball IQ factor, I think, is sided on the Warriors side. And if the Lakers continue to do what they're doing now, the Warriors have a great shot to go down there Friday and win a ball game.
It's going to be interesting. I do think, as somebody said just a minute ago in the chat, the first quarter is going to be pivotal, absolutely pivotal. You're going to have to withstand that first onslaught of the energy, being on the road. Can't get into this deep. The one thing you're not going to do, you're not going to dig yourself some massive hole and then come climbing out of it. You're not good enough to do that. So dig yourself a massive hole and then it's game over. So
I'm going to be super interested to see if that high pick and roll where they're pulling AD out.
Right.
It worked in game 4.
Yeah.
So they stopped doing it in the fourth quarter. It worked tonight. I'm going to be really interested to see if it works in game 6, if they're going to go to it and what Darvin Ham's going to do to try to adjust to that, because that's kind of been the whole thing.
I don't think we've seen them adjust period to it. It's just that they're just kind of Golden State's going away from it. It's almost like they're disinterested. One quick thought here. Alex Breitler says, hate to say it, but tonight was the easiest of the 3 games that they have to win. Larry, has your position on the outcome of the series changed? I said that I thought the Lakers would win this series and that they would, I said initially I thought the Warriors would win it in 5, but after game 4, I said, I don't think the Warriors are coming back. I did think they would get tonight, but I thought there was a chance Lakers would get it. But I lean towards Warriors in this one. It's the next one, obviously. That's the tough one. It's amazing how series go. I mean, I would definitely say that both teams should feel really confident that they've got a great shot to win. But I think the Warriors are the better team. I think if LeBron had more left personally in the tank, I would feel like, you know what, it's the Lakers. But because he has to have the surrounding cast all rise up, and I just don't know if there's surrounding cast with the real pressure on the line. And there's going to be real pressure in game 6 on them. If they don't get off to a good start, I could see them crumbling. So I kind of like the Warriors to go in there and get the win. And then I do like the Warriors to win in 7. So I guess, no, I don't feel the same after game 4. I feel like the Warriors will win.
So,
and just to touch back on what Sean said about the pick and roll, you only have 2 options. You can hard hedge it, blitz it, or you're going to get in drop coverage. They know if they allow Anthony Davis to get in drop coverage, the Warriors are going to set high pick and roll, and Steph's going to kill them from 17 to 20 feet. They can't afford to do that, so they're going to either switch it like you saw them do late in the game, or the Warriors are going to be successful. The one question you have to ask if you're Los Angeles, if you're on their coaching staff, if you're on their film crew, eventually Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson are going to knock down open threes, and they're going to knock down some tough threes. They cannot afford to let that be game 6 because they do not want the emotion, like Red said, of getting back on a plane and having to come to San Francisco and playing a game 7 with legacies on the line. See, there were no legacies on the line tonight except for Golden State's.
Mm-hmm.
Game 7, everybody's legacies on the line.
But can they hit those shots in the Staples Center with the darked out background? Can they do it?
The good news, yes, because the rims are still round and the baskets are 10 feet.
You're saying historically, look at it.
You got to get out of your own head because guess what? Lakers players hit them. If you got to go in early and get up 1,000 shots, you do whatever you got to do. But the objective is to win the game. And this is the only one they're going to play, game 6.
Can I ask you a question? Has anybody been there? I know JD's been there for this series. But, I mean, have you been there recently? When you go into that arena, is it one lighting in pregame and then they darken it? Because otherwise, wouldn't people be tripping over themselves? Is it like being in the theater, Carl, where you literally walk in with one lighting, but then they darken the room and you have different lighting, except so maybe that's the issue. Is that in the pregame you're shooting with a different backdrop than you do in the game, and so it almost is like it works against you maybe if you get up a bunch of shots in the pregame.
You know what the Warriors need?
What's that?
Sunglasses. They need to warm up wearing sunglasses, and that should take care of everything.
Does anybody have a fire extinguisher, by the way? I see Sai's got a fire going in there.
Oh, well, you know, the people, I just give the people what they ask for. And want, you know,
there was some people in the chat asking for
Let me read one of these.
You know, the lights might be the kryptonite for shooters and Staples. My kryptonite is people saying 420. When they say that, it's
there you go. There you go. T1 says game 6, no TO, no timeout. Keep it close and lots of cutting inside for simple buckets and run. AD doesn't run back.
Boys, let me I was up at 5:40 this morning to get to Gianna. I did KPIX first thing this morning. It's been a long day. I'm exhausted. I'm about to hit the sack. I want to leave you with this. First of all, it was great being with you. Thanks for having me on, Larry. Thanks. It was great to meet and talk with all of you guys. I have been watching from a distance, and I'm glad that I was able to join you tonight. I want to leave you with this. This is how cool this series is. For it to reach a game 7, the Warriors need to extend their already wildly impressive NBA playoff record by winning for the 29th series in a row, one game on the road. They've got to do it. They've got to pick up consecutive series one, number 29, or LeBron has dropped one of the all-time chin checks, not just on the Warriors, but on the NBA. I mean, I remember people talking about how he had served his Lakers' purpose, and the best they could do at this point in time is trade him. Look at what this magnificent athlete that we've been able to enjoy in our lifetimes is doing still. LeBron is transcendent. The Warriors have been transcendent. The Lakers are 6-0 at home this postseason. The Warriors in 28 straight series have won a road game. And, the old cliche plays out. Something's got to give on Friday night. It's great drama. This is one of the all-time NBA rivalries. LeBron versus the Warriors is Bird v. Magic, is Jordan versus his era, is Russell Wilt. It's just a grander scale because it's one man versus a franchise. It's extraordinary. This is our slice of NBA history. Hopefully the Warriors set up a game 7, which will just be off the charts in terms of legacy games, like you guys were saying. But this is a very special time for basketball fans. I don't care who you root for. This shit is magnificent. It's imperfect. They're old fighters looking for one more championship, and it's just been magnificent. There you go. There he is. The single greatest promise ever delivered as an athlete to the world. No one was ever, like, at 13 said, okay, he's absolutely going to be the next great player of anything.
Since Willie Mays. I mean, Willie Mays. Willie Mays.
They did it. I mean, LeBron is executing one of the most perfect careers we'll ever see in our lives. And we all know what Steph and the Warriors have done to evolve the game to something that we, couldn't even recognize the game we used to watch 15 years ago. It's all been remarkable. So I just wanted to leave you all with that. Thanks so much for having me in tonight. You guys keep it up.
Give us your
prediction
up in the air,
Cyrus.
Give us your prediction on the series on the way out here. Who's going to win game?
I think the Lakers ended in game 6. I think the Warriors in a whole
son of a bitch.
fucking heap of trouble in game 6.
Bruce,
Heap of trouble.
Damon, it's great to see you, man.
Great. Promote his YouTube channel.
Oh,
Get the fuck out of here.
Bruce. Subscribe to Damon Bruce Plus. I'd love it if you do. Number 4 podcast in sports on Apple this morning. I've fallen to number 5. This is with no marketing, no promotion. I'm up there with Lebitard and Bill Simmons, and this shit is working. No shit. I can't believe it either.
Bravo,
it's because
man.
a lot of people are listening because of Warriors and Lakers. So I'm sure I'll fall right out of the top 100 in a week from now. But had a good day today.
Dude. Jesus,
thanks to all of you.
Congrats, Damon.
Thank you very, very much. Larry, you've been a godfather to me coming over to this whole new world, man. So thank you for letting me into yours. It was awesome talking to all you guys tonight. Have a good one. And I hate to say it, if the Warriors have not been good on the road and in the biggest road moment of the year, it's hard for me to pick them in a gym that they don't shoot well in or play well in. They've only beaten the Lakers, well, thanks to tonight now, twice this whole year. And I do think that the Lakers kind of took their eye off the ball a little bit tonight. I agree with the texter who said, of the 3 wins that the Warriors need, tonight was probably the easiest brand of them. There is a monster waiting for them on Friday night. I hope they slay the monster. I think the Lakers end this, though, in 6. I do.
Damon, thanks for stopping by. We love your brother, but you're killing my vibe, man. So get the fuck out of here.
All right, guys. Take care.
Say hi to the wife and kids. We'll talk to you soon. There you go. Damon Bruce.
So the line's out. It's 2.5.
Who's favored? Warriors are favored, right?
No, Lakers minus 2.
Lakers. Oh, okay.
2.5.
I thought I saw somewhere that the Warriors are favored, and I was kind of.
What was game 4? Was it 2.5 or 3.5?
I thought it was 4, wasn't it?
It was 3.5, and it moved to 4.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't know how I knew that. I don't really get involved in that kind of thing. P says Lakers are due for a home loss. Thank you for that.
Can we get Tom Izzo a ticket? I mean,
Why not?
fucking Draymond plays phenomenal when his coach is there. So
I'm sure. Heck, fly him in. He's on the
sure
West
they
Coast.
get Izzo a
I'm sure
ticket.
Draymond could figure something out.
Yeah.
Not a guarantee though. Not a guarantee. He's failed him before.
What if you see Izzo in like the upper tank somewhere? He can't get. G2 the Universe says, to clarify my previous super chat. That's what I like. I like super chats that are kind of need to be explained with follow-up super chats. AD cried like a baby, and adult nature is to attend to a child and have sympathy. Dre, on the other hand, rubbed his lumpy Looney Tunes show type bump. Okay, I don't know.
Said we good.
And said we get.
So Draymond bounced his head off.
I may need another super chat to explain.
Yeah, maybe one more.
Just one more to explain.
One more.
He rubbed it.
Two.
Maybe a $20 one.
Yeah. Well, I need a real explanation, maybe with a C note. All right. Marcus says Wiseman GP2 trade will be considered light years if the Warriors get to the finals, meaning they cut their losses.
They treated Wiseman exactly the same as the way they treated Eric Pascal. Exactly the same. Just stood by the same way. Like it's crazy.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I mean, and I like Pascal too, but no, I'm pushing back on that. James Wiseman, come on, man. I mean, if you really love GP2, you could have signed him for $8 million and maybe given Poole like a little bit less. So I mean, they bungled the offseason. They gave Poole way too much. They let their best defensive player walk. They leaned on rookies that they decided then to undercut with having, these part-time players from the G League. I mean, it just did. Lamb played over Kuminga. Moody didn't develop. I mean,
Hi, Jerome.
This is don't say, you know what, they got it. You know what I mean? They're great, but don't, I mean, they're not beyond criticism. But the other thing I wanted to throw your guys' way, and this was really a bombshell this morning. I'm watching Cowherd, and I don't know what you guys think of Cowherd. Whatever, we can talk about that. But he says Cowherd on his show said that he thinks the Warriors should trade Jordan Poole in a deal for Jaylen Brown. And when I first heard that, I'm like, yes.
Of course.
Are you kidding me? Yes.
Boston's not saying yes.
Do you need a ride to the Oakland airport? I'm there. I'll put it in long-term parking. I'll cover it.
Jordan Poole, Wiggins.
But it's Poole and Wiggins for well, in his
Kuminga.
fantasy trade. I mean, I'm sure he's got. You got to make this stuff work on the cap. If it doesn't work on the cap, then he's a true buffoon. But if I assume that this works on the cap, which would be Jordan Poole and Wiggins to Boston for Malcolm Brogdon and Jaylen Brown. The question is just simply, would you do it?
Yeah.
Would you do it if you're Golden State?
All day long.
Here's why. Only reason I would pause. Jaylen Brown, I think's got a chronic knee, and I would want that thing checked out.
Fair.
Because to me, if you're trading Wiggins, who's very young and a leader on this team, Poole, I'm not worried about. But Wiggins, you can trade Wiggins. I need to know that I'm getting Jaylen Brown. I need to know what kind of mileage is left on that car. I mean, is he, sometimes you're watching a guy and all of a sudden he's Brandon Roy. You're like, wow, he looks fine, but he's not playing anymore because
two things to that, Larry, if you don't mind. One,
no, jump in.
When I hear Colin Cowherd propose that of all people, it raised an eyebrow because
why is that?
He's got a direct line to Draymond Green, right? I mean, Draymond's podcast is on Cowherd's network. They do have a relationship. I'm not saying they're close by any means. And Cowherd, by the way, one of my best friends in the whole world, Larry, we all worked with him, Sam Batesh. Sam was Cowherd's producer for years, and he left. And he always had good things to say about Colin. But so, anyways, makes you wonder if like Draymond kind of threw that out there, or at least they talked about that. And two, I think if you're the Warriors, you say yes in a second, provided the knee's healthy. I don't think Boston would ever bite on that, though. I mean, why would Boston do that? Poole? I don't know. I don't know. I think Poole is what kills the deal, but that's me.
They would only do it if they felt like Jaylen Brown either didn't. Well, first of all, there's a lot of reasons they could.
Jaylen Brown might not want to play in Boston next year.
Jaylen Brown may not want to sign in long term to live in Boston. Yeah. There's that angle. I think that's very possible. Mm-hmm. It's not for everybody. And also Jaylen Brown, is why would you trade for anybody who's going to be a free agent unless Jaylen Brown said he wanted to play here? But Jaylen Brown went to Cal. He's been in the Bay Area. He's lived here. And he might say, you know what? All things being equal, I'd like to live in the Bay Area again. So I can imagine that if you lived here for a while and then you lived other places, especially forget the people and the culture and, everybody, the people here and every life here, just the weather. Just the weather. If you lived on the West Coast in the Bay Area and you're, for college, and now you've played in Boston for a few years and you've tasted every restaurant, every bar, every whatever there, I could see yearning for the West Coast. I could see being like, hey, man, it was nice. I was walking around in January in shorts in Berkeley and, flip-flops. And
Jalen loved it here too, by the way. It was his 1 year at Cal. Like he did like it here very much. I've read
so
that.
I mean, I could see where, and if they know that he's not going to sign there long-term, this is not the worst. They could do a whole lot worse than Wiggins and Poole. That's for sure. But what do you guys think of Brogdon? I mean, I'm not a Brogdon
run.
I think the Warriors have liked Brogdon in the past, though.
Yeah, having Brogdon run the second unit would be sweet.
Yeah, he's a smart guy. He's a very smart guy, and he actually could start for more than half the teams in the NBA. So I like both of those players. If I'm on the Boston end and I'm a Boston fan, Poole is not the type of guy that I want to wear the green uniform. He's just not, because those fans are highly, highly intelligent basketball fans, and they want tough-minded players, which is why they love guys like Marcus Smart, who I think possibly could be on his way to like a Phoenix or somewhere like that, because I think they like Brogdon. I think they like Brogdon. I think that they figure they could get something for Smart. Poole looks like a Brooklyn Net type of player to me. For
good call.
Yeah, for like a
I'm thinking a Charlotte Hornet, like.
Yeah,
Poole over to Oubre back to Poole. I can picture that.
Washington Wizard. I can see him being on the Wizards.
A Wizard, yeah, exactly.
New Orleans.
Boston, you better have your stuff together. You go to Boston, because they're gonna hold you accountable.
But I'll say this: it'll either break him or it'll make him, right? And if it makes him, the Warriors could look bad too, because we all know the kid's got a ton of talent, and he can flat out shoot it. From the free throw line. I mean, Jordan Poole all I would want to say to every player on the team is, let's talk about what you do best and go do what you do best. Don't be doing a lot of what you do third best. Do what you do best.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Good advice.
And to me, what he does best is beat anybody off the dribble and shoot free throws at a crazy high percentage. So let's focus on that. Beat people off the dribble. If he's got to can he sit in the mid range and knock down some shots?
He can.
And that's
game.
Charles, I talked about this a little bit on Locked On tonight. I'm glad you brought him up, because Barkley kind of like all of a sudden just started analyzing him. I forgot when it was today, but I thought he was right, because he started talking about Poole and said, the problem with Jordan Poole, and he's very specific in this, and I agree again, is that he takes difficult shots. And I forgot the other player he mentioned that Poole reminded him of. It was another player who he thought
he's a Steph Curry wannabe of the highest order.
Right, but he takes shots where he's got hands in his face. Like Barkley said, he's tired of seeing Jordan do that two-step thing where when he's got someone else on him, draped all over him, and he was like, if he just settles for open threes and creating either plays or taking shots as you're attacking the paint, like that's fine. But Jordan Poole
he compared him to J.R. Smith, Si.
Right.
You never want to be compared to J.R. Smith, but he did create for Draymond on that one bunny. You saw that where he drove in, then he found Draymond underneath, and so he's capable of doing it. But I just need to see him. You're not Steph Curry, and you shouldn't even. He takes 2 or 3 threes that he shouldn't even. As it's coming out of his hand, I'm like, no. They're not in rhythm, and they're so deep, and it's like you can beat guys off the dribble and create for other people, and you're on a team that doesn't get to the line, and you shoot free throws better than anybody. See if you can get to the line. That guy at the line is awesome.
It's a product, Larry, of where the generation is in terms of YouTube videos and the ability to have a reel on Facebook. being able to send my highlight tape to people so guys really get into what they can do. They work with trainers and they're working on all these advanced moves. As players get better, they get more efficient. And Jordan is in that place in his development where he's just coming into his own in terms of ability and recognition of what he can do in a game. But now he has to come to two very distinct points in the road. Number one, efficiency equals winning. And number two, defending means I'm playable in playoff series. And until those two things become paramount for him, he's going to have some highs and some lows. He's got ridiculous ability. He's got a chance to be a really special player. But Frank and I have gone back and forth over there are four guys that I say are very similar. Tyrese Maxey, the young man, Anthony Simons in Portland, and also Michael Quickley, who's a Knick. All of them are scorers. You could throw in, there's the other kid who plays on New Jersey now, who now gets to play a lot, who's kind of in that same book, who went to LSU. Guys who can really score, but they have to learn how to play within a system when it comes playoff time, because the 82-game season is entertainment. The 16-win season is all about legacies.
But here's the deal. To even get to the, quote, 16 legacy games, you got to get into the playoffs. Steve Kerr and the rest of those coaches, I mean, their eyeballs must pop out when they see Jordan Poole playing defense sometimes. I mean, it's absolutely atrocious. I mean, I gave him all the credit tonight for doing what he did. I thought he was awesome tonight. He continued what Steph was doing, came in, had 9 points in the first half. But the reality is, when you are a, quote, starter and everything is on you, it is tough. And all of these role players that say, I should be playing and stuff like that, do you really want that smoke to be out there for 37, 38 minutes against the best players in the NBA in front of a packed house at Chase Arena? No, there's levels to this. So he got some levels to get to, because it's not about offense. One coach who I respect a lot said this. He's talking to a high school player. The high school player says, Coach, I can shoot the jumper. I can do this. I can do other stuff. He goes, what level do you think I can play at, Coach? And the coach looks at the kid and said, you play at the level by which you can defend. That's the level that you play at. I don't want to hear about your offense. Can you defend your position? This is why I have so much respect for Austin Reeves. This is a guy who was he drafted or second round?
Undrafted.
Undrafted, yeah.
Yo, man, the guy's undrafted. He's in the NBA playing great offense, but he's defending his position among these NBA veterans. That's what I want to see from Jordan Poole. If he can do that, he got a chance to be really good. But you see him like this with defense like this, it's terrible.
Well, it's about desire too. He's got, it's about desire. You have to want to play defense. You have to commit to it. But I'll tell you, I'm it's funny. Maybe I've given up. I've quit on him as a defensive player. I don't even care about that part of it. What's criminal, if you're the Warriors, go give this guy a homework assignment. Say, you know what? Go watch Adrian Dantley. Go watch Corey Maggette. Okay, go watch 25 games of Corey Maggette this summer. Go watch 15 games of Adrian Dantley. Those guys lived at the line. Go figure out how to do it. We got all the coaches in the world, but those guys had that game. You don't want to sit there with some Delos coach screaming in your ear in Oakland or San Francisco. You don't want to deal with that. You'd rather, go up, be at home and watch TV. So here, go watch Dantley, go watch Maggette. Those guys drew fouls. Those guys went to the line, and they didn't even have anything close to the kind of athletic gifts that this guy has to beat people off the dribble, but they were just so good at positioning their body. It's an art form. It's like basketball 5.0. It's a higher level. He just needs, he's 23. I mean, we forget he's really, really, really young. So he came into the league super young, super raw, and he just has to keep improving. And they say he's the hardest worker. So you know what? Yeah. Just study these guys and learn how to draw fouls in the half court with the shot clock ticking down. Because if you want to, be a championship player, that's what you can do to make this a championship team is you can draw fouls with your awesome body control by, going by people and stopping and starting and kind of, positioning your body and drawing the contact and go to the line and make 94%. If you make 94%, you're playing in the fourth quarter. You're on the closing. You make 94% of your free throws and you get to the line, you're going to be on the floor in the fourth quarter. I mean, it's absolutely criminal that the Warriors have Clay, Steph, and Poole, and they can't finish. And they haven't been able to finish all season. So the question is, can they finish Friday? Because that's the big one. I think Game 7 will be theirs at home, but they got to win this game in LA, and it's going to be hellacious. It's going to be. I don't know what it's going to be. I hope it's not going to be a parade to the foul line for the Lakers, and I hope it's not going to be Golden State digging themselves a hole.
Well, I heard Draymond say in some post-game comments about, they're expecting LA's best, got to take their punch and make their own, stay with them, and then they'll give another punch. That Game 6 when they won at OKC, they were down like 12, 14 points or something like that in the third
Different
quarter.
team, though.
Different team, totally different. It's a totally different game. Yeah, I know. But the fact is based on experience, the Warriors been in that type of game. The players that are playing know that, they might get down and they got to be able to take the punch and come back. I think if they are able to, if they get down and come back and they get down again and come back, that's a really good chance of overcoming and winning the game. But the one thing that we were talking about Poole, I just don't understand how a guy with that kind of quickness doesn't have any quickness at all on defense. He's like a cone. He doesn't even bend his knees and get in, defensive position. Right. He stands. Mm-hmm. He does. Get down, bend those knees and slide. It's like, how does he not know how to play defense? That's what I would be spending time working on this offseason.
Yeah, he's just not interested in it.
But he's going to have to learn to play defense if he's going to stay in the league.
No, he's not. You know why? Well, because he's getting $30 million next year.
That's
and it's like hard. I couldn't be motivated, if I had all my money locked up. And in a lot of ways, the NBA's kind of created these players that are imperfect that don't stop working on their game. I think Ben Simmons could be like that. On the defensive end, it's like he's a spectacular player, but his offense, is not there. Poole is the kind of the opposite. But how are you going to convince somebody to get up and grind, man? Or what? I got $100 million in the bank. I mean, it's so I think in a lot of ways their motivation's taken away unless you really have that drive. And some people have that drive, and other people don't have that drive. We're going to find out on those two young players because they're both enormous talents. If Simmons becomes any kind of a shooter at all, he's going to be one of the best players in the league. If Poole becomes any kind of a defender at all, he's a potential all-star player. P says, let's not act like the Warriors haven't come back 3-1. He then says, perfect payback on LeBron to come back 3-1. 808 Niner says, Poole and Kuminga to the Magic for Jonathan Isaac and Fultz. I'm not Fultz. No, I'm not. Isaac and Fultz. No, come on. What? What are you, a big Orlando Magic fan? I mean, who's doing that?
I mean, you know what though? I like Isaac, and I'd rather have Jalen Suggs.
I know.
Yeah, there you go. Isaac didn't play for like 2 years.
He's good.
He's good though. He's good. But I mean,
he's real good.
No, I no.
JK looked pretty good, right, Cy? And close on garbage.
I mean, yeah, I mentioned that like he's people have been saying, well, if he's going to play garbage time, he's got to make the best of it, take advantage, and he has. He's been shooting lights out. He's been really shutting up people.
He looks so flippant. Like when he hit that three, just look at what the fuck, like whatever. Like he just
but his shot was smooth though. Like his very first shot in tonight's game was fast. He looked
flippant.
Just a quick jumper. Yeah. Yeah, I mean he hasn't missed a three. He's been perfect from 3-point line. I hope he plays, but I'm also all about success. So if they're winning, you're not going to hear complaints. So
there's no questioning his amazing talent. And maybe if they're able to get through this round and they move on to the finals of the Western Conference, all bets are off that he would not be a part of the lineup because we all know he could bring value. It just comes down to matchup and attitude. And if he comes with the right attitude and it's the right matchup, he's going to play.
Guys, we're at midnight, and I got Niner minicamp tomorrow, so I'm going to cut it.
You don't have 2 more hours again tonight, Larry?
No, not tonight.
Did you hear
tonight.
Kyle's comments about Trey Lance?
Just that what he was at the Dwight Clark event tonight.
He just made a comment I read that said he looks the best he's seen him as a 49er, and he's got a shot at the starting job.
Good.
There
He's
you go.
got a shot at the job that he was given last year.
Well, they're not going to give it to him this year.
Well, no, I mean, it's Purdy's job. I mean, come on, they're going to start with Purdy.
Yeah, but if he's
right? I mean,
available, but I
Purdy's
do
healthy.
think I do think Trey Lance learned a lot watching Brock Purdy be
how could you
successful.
not?
And I also believe that Trey Lance is such a competitor and he's got such unbelievable talent. I mean, his ceiling is much higher than Brock Purdy's. He's also got a lot lower floor. But I believe with his talent and his drive and character that what he watched, he's got pride. He was the third pick and he's seeing the, Mr. Irrelevant, come in and be a star. I think that's going to motivate him to come in and try and take the job back because he's got a shot at it now.
Well, I mean, he's going to get an opportunity. I mean, Brock's not going to play in the preseason.
Right.
He's got to beat out Darnold.
Yeah, that to me is laughable. I can't even believe we're even having that discussion. Nobody in my mind. I mean, there's no way in my mind that Sam Darnold beats out Trey Lance. I mean, I said that a month ago. I've been saying it for a while. I don't. There's no way that I don't care if he sits courtside at every game. I don't care if he's buddies with everybody.
I don't care that Matt Batty Barrows said he's the best thrower.
Matt Mayoko. Mayoko said he's one of the best thrower maybe ever in 49er history.
Who the fuck was that?
Mayoko said that. Mayoko.
I think he meant in terms
Sam
of
Darnold.
arm strength. I think he meant in terms of like arm strength, not so much.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't.
He's not talking about
the way,
Montana and Young and Garcia. All three of them were better.
It really
Before
doesn't
we go,
matter.
it's important to note Anthony Davis. They're saying he was not concussed,
Right.
So he will play in Game 6. I think that's just to clear that up. And then Gary Payton II said in Game 4 the reason why he had to leave is he vomited in his mouth, and that's why he disappeared for a little bit there.
In this game,
I didn't get a chance to say this.
Game 4.
Oh, the Goss game, yeah.
I didn't get a chance to say this in the Game 4 recap, but I saw that clip where he threw up on the court, and then he had his mouth he was like this, and he ran past, obviously in the middle of the possession, he ran past Kerr, ran past the bench. So if I blame Kerr or someone on the staff for not calling timeout. If you get a fast break, great. But as soon as they pulled it back out and now you're running a set, you can't play 5-on-4. You got to call timeout. And every possession matters. They lost by one possession.
Mm-hmm.
I blame the staff for not calling a fucking timeout.
That's fair.
Like, they hoard these timeouts in the first half like they mean something. They don't mean shit in the first half. Call a timeout. Play 5-on-5.
There you go.
All right, gentlemen.
That was my
Frank, good to see you, man. Have a great night.
Good night.
Take care. Carl, you jumping?
Oh, we staying on?
Is this
I'm
the time where Larry says
I'm actually ending the show.
No,
is this where you say like good night, everybody? Like good night, John boy. Good night, Sean.
Good night, Mary Ellen. The Waltons. Carl, we'll see you maybe after Game 6.
Bye, Carl.
Absolutely.
Have a great night. Danny, have a phenomenal night. Good to see you. Say hello to everybody in the desert.
And Del Boca Vista.
Sean,
you
got a final thought?
Yeah, I just fired on the Lakers -2.5 for the sole reason that I win either way.
What if the Lakers win by 1? You're totally fucked.
No, it's not going to be a 1-point game.
All right.
We'll talk to you soon.
I call that an emotional hedge bet. I've done that before. It's not the worst thing to do. I feel them. But if the Lakers
your final thought of the night.
I mean, dude, this is the biggest game of the year, Game 6. I feel like a lot of people are going to be very anxious between now and then, and rightfully so. I'm confident in the Warriors. I am. Rick Barry and I did a show yesterday, and I thought Rick said it best. He said, if you put these two teams on paper, and you only see the best version of them play each other, the Warriors are going to win every time. They are the better team. They're forcing a lot of threes. Obviously the turnovers suck. Kerr's been playing the wrong people a lot. The point was just made about how if they call a timeout when Gary Payton II's puking, that one possession could have made a difference. They've just been doing a lot of dumb shit. But for some reason, you only get the best version of the Golden State Warriors when their backs are against the wall. This has been time and time true again. And here we are. They're in a literal must win. And now we're seeing the efficient best version. I love the fact that LeBron had to play 39 minutes tonight. The dude is showing his age. I don't think we're going to get like a Superman in LA outside of hopping him up on a lot of drugs. And what I saw tonight is Draymond Green, A, being aggressive offensively. You and I both talked about that, and you emphasized that. But B, he was awesome defensively. Like Anthony Davis was not having a great game even before that injury. So if the refs, those fucking assholes, if they stay out of it, the Warriors are winning Game 6. That's my final thought. And thanks as always, brother. Love you,
dude. Love you too, bro. And I agree. I absolutely agree. The refs are going to have a huge. I hope I'm wrong, but I hope that would be my biggest. If the free throw disparity is 5 or less, I feel very confident that Golden State will win. But if it becomes 25, 40, or something crazy, then all bets are off.
And great to see our boy Damon show up tonight, man. That was fun.
Seriously. Good to see you, bro. Have a good night.
Too,
there you go. The great Cy Satsis. I'll hit the chat and hit the rest of the chats that are there. We'll get that in just a second. But we also have we've got a brand new sponsor right here. Look at that. Let me take down the 808 Niner comment for just a second. Sorry about that, 808. Appreciate you. But there we go. We have a new sponsor. How about that? Look at that. Wrapped all around. The new sponsor for the Krug Show is the Game Time app. And you can buy or sell tickets to any game or musical event. So just click the links in the description to get tickets. And if you do this, it will obviously help our show. So Game Time app, if you're buying or selling, needing tickets to games or musical events, go to the Game Time app, click the link in the description, and thanks to them for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. All right. A couple thoughts from our sponsors as well. Pig and a Pickle, our title sponsor. Check them out, Emeryville, Corte Madera. It looks a little bit like this. We'll be back in a minute with the rest of your starred chats. And we'll finish up strong on the Krug Show after Warrior basketball. More straight ahead.
A Sunday dinner. That means no matter how busy you were, no matter where the hell you were, you came to dinner on a Sunday night. Yeah, Sunday dinner without sausage, it's like a church without God. How can you go to church if you don't believe in God? And along with the sausage also became the discussions. That was discussion night. It wasn't a typical family that you sit there and you're quiet, and you don't talk with a mouthful. Oh no, man. Italians talk when they're eating. Italians even talk when they're sleeping. And definitely we talk with our hands. So if we can't express it through our mouth, through our lips, we express it with our hands. So And that's what sausage is, really. It's an expression, you know, that life is good.
All right, welcome back to the Krug Shows. We finished strong after Warrior basketball. Warriors get the win tonight. Nice game, 121-106. Warriors win it by 15. Game 6 coming up at the Crypto, whatever, on Friday, and look forward to that. That's going to be a good one. Warriors need to win to keep their season alive, but I think the pressure has shifted to the Lakers, and I like Golden State. But who knows? Who knows? You know, you never know. That's why they play the games. A couple things today I thought were kind of interesting. One, we talked about that trade. We didn't really say if we would make it or not. I would make that deal. I would. I think I definitely would. I would move Jordan Poole and Andrew Wiggins if I could get Jaylen Brown and Malcolm Brogdon. I think Brogdon and Brown just fit better. And I like Brown a lot, and I would be very excited to get him on the team. I think he's a key guy for Boston. And I would miss not having Wiggins and Poole, and there's potential those guys would blow up, especially Wiggins. But you know what? I think I would do it. I like what Brogdon offers as a controlled ball handler. He could play the 1 or the 2, and Jaylen Brown's big-time athlete on the wing. Change up the vibe a little bit. Give the Warriors a different look. I'd do it. I would do it. The first, second, and third team all NBA teams were announced today, and Steph did not make first team. So it was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's just awesome. He's just become an incredible player. Luka, Joel Embiid, Jason Tatum, and Giannis. That's the first team all NBA. So the second team was Steph, Donovan Mitchell, Jimmy Butler, who's just been incredible in these playoffs, Jokic, and Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown was second team all NBA. And then third team All-NBA is Lillard, De'Aaron Fox, LeBron, Julius Randle, and Sabonis. The only one on the entire list that I was like, really? Is Julius Randle. And that's just really because Julius Randle had a good year, but look who's in the house. JD stops by. What's up, JD?
What's going on, Larry? How you doing, man?
Well, we were just wrapping up. We had a monster live stream. Damon jumped in. We had Carl Foster, Frank Red, Bay Area Baller. Danny was in the house. Sean Proctor. It was like the Brady Bunch.
Awesome.
And then you guys went all the way live till midnight, huh?
Yeah, we went till midnight, and I was at Harmonic Brewing in Thrive City. So it's a little brewery right next to Chase Center in the Thrive City Plaza. And so we
did the
kept
show
it
from
rolling.
there.
Yeah, they're bringing brews out.
Nice.
It's a great little spot. I think they're going to have a watch party if people are looking for a place to watch, maybe Game 6. And obviously, if it goes to Game 7, which everybody's hoping it does, they're going to be
doing the show
early.
solo? Because we've been on the whole time, so I haven't heard you. Were you solo or were you with somebody?
Solo tonight and just enjoying it. So good stuff.
Oh, you're still there?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm back in. I went back in.
Oh no, you're back in the arena now.
I'm back. I went back in. Yeah. I'm actually right now in Darvin Ham's podium
media
seat.
Session.
I'm in Darvin Ham's podium seat.
Give us the update. I mean, what do you think the status is of Anthony Davis for Game 6?
It looks pretty good. I mean, I know Chris Haynes had the report that it seems like they've averted a concussion. I found it really interesting that Draymond Green, of all things, coming off of his bump in the head, from Game 4. I mean, he laid out on his podcast all the different protocols that you have to go through to to get through. And in the NFL, obviously, this makes major headlines, regularly. But he kind of laid out, hey, they put me through a bunch of different tests, and he was able to play and be, he was able to play and finish the game, and then still had to go through the concussion protocol tests and passed them all to where he was able to go and be available for this game. But when the reports were Davis, on a wheelchair and he's dizzy and all these things, I mean, those seem to be some potentially significant, legitimate concussion-like symptoms, but not the case. Apparently, it seemed like the Lakers got off of that real quick in the post game. I know Haynes had the report that he was doing much better and that they feel like they've avoided a concussion. But Draymond, I mean, we didn't even have the questions about Draymond after the game on Monday, and he still told everybody yesterday that he went through the protocol. So I think, Davis is going to have to obviously go through and pass some semblance of tests to be able to go. But it sounds like he was feeling better really quickly, which I think is a good sign toward him being able to play. And obviously everybody wants him to be healthy and able to play.
There are so many elements of this game we could talk for hours, but we'll just go another 15 minutes or so and get your breakdown of this thing. What do you think? I mean, there were so many different elements of it. I mean, I love the fact that Draymond took control offensively early. I like Draymond has, if you look at those numbers in his career, he just plays so big with money on the table. He's been so huge in the key moments, way exceeding his regular season production in some of these playoff games throughout history with this run. And the way he started this game, I thought, man, this guy does not fear the moment. And there's a ton of pressure in these games, especially as these series progress, and like game like this where if you lose, you're going home. And I like him being assertive offensively, especially if he's going to the rim. That he did hit a 3, but to me that was a key element tonight. Is he's just, we talk about it in football a lot. There's good players, there's great players, and JD, then there's like tone setters. Some guys are tone setters, and Debo's kind of like that for the Niners. You're in there, but Draymond is so much their tone setter, and he's always been their tone setter. And I love the way to me, it was a major key to tonight's game was Draymond and the way he played in the first quarter. Give me your thoughts on the game.
No, it really was, and I think it's also just the consistent ability for him to bounce back off of a bad game or off of a game where things don't go well. It's to where you can count on him even more so when the prior game gets away. And I think it's something that's always talked about. And I had a feeling, and you never truly know, but when I saw Tom Izzo in the house tonight and he's making the rounds and he's shaking hands with people and that he was going to be in attendance in this one, I thought, I'll bet this is a big time Draymond game. And sure enough, Izzo and Draymond talk regularly. I know we had him on 95.7 The Game a couple of weeks ago. It was during the Sacramento series. I was filling in for Willard with Dibbs, and we had Izzo on, and he said, hey, I talk to Draymond every couple of days, and he's always picking my brain, and I'm always trying to help him with little things that I see, or just the emotional component of being able to kind of keep his fire burning, but also keep him grounded and keep him focused on the right things. And I thought tonight, he picked up a foul in the first play of the game tonight, but he didn't argue. He didn't get upset. He didn't, get frustrated. He there were a couple times where he got tangled up with players on the Lakers side of things. And he just ran to the other side of the court or ran away from the play, or it was just a very disciplined, focused, not here for any of the bullshit type of Draymond Green tonight. And I don't know how much Coach Izzo had to do with it, but I kept thinking about it all night. Like it was almost as if, Izzo was in his ear, like, hey, keep it cool, keep that fire burning, but keep it cool. It was kind of a college Draymond game tonight in a weird way. And again, maybe I'm making too much of it, but just watching him play at Michigan State, whether it was, scoring a little bit when needed, pushing the tempo, defense, but also not being out of control which we've seen him get at different points in this season and in these playoffs even, he kept that from getting out of hand. And, the rest of it is just everything that this Warriors team needs when they're struggling and when they're fighting and when they're trying to, stay alive. And, he's kind of the quintessential Larry, do or die, win or go home kind of a player, right? He's the guy you want in the rabbit hole with you and ready to jump out and fight and not go down. And he was on one tonight in a big way, and he helped them. And they need the scoring. I mean, that's the thing, in the games in Chase, they've been able to find scoring where they need it in all 3 games, even though they lost game 1. The question then becomes, does it translate on the road? And can the Warriors get the offense, the pace, the energy, the enthusiasm? Can that translate down to LA on Friday night? Because if it does, I think the Warriors are going to win on Friday night. If it doesn't, then I think they're probably going home on Friday night in a similar fashion to, some combination of game 4 and game 3.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good point. The first half, it was Warriors were up by 11 after Steph hit that deep 3 going into the locker room. But the first half, the Warriors scored 16 points off of the Lakers' turnovers. I thought that was huge. Golden State was also plus 18 at the 3-point line in the first half. And a couple of those, I think, came from Moses Moody. And I love the way Moody played in this first half, JD. I mean, every game I see him, the more I think, you know what, this guy has got something. He doesn't play at a breakneck pace. He's not a crazy above the rim athlete, so we kind of overlook him. But the game is legit, and he was good at Arkansas, and you can see him carving out, slowly but surely his kind of who he is as an NBA player. I loved what Moses gave them in the first half.
And 2 big threes, which are important. It's amazing. Like, how is he able to hit threes in May that he couldn't hit in December? Well, I mean, it's amazing. Crazy. I mean, he's just a much more consistent. If he could make those shots as consistently in the regular season when he got opportunities, he would have been playing all year. But that was the one part of his game, and we can quibble about athleticism and body type and all of that, but he never consistently made shots, which I think would have been the easiest way for him to continue to get minutes. He's done that in the playoffs. I'll tell you the most impressive thing for me about Moody is his ability to make an impact while playing minimal minutes, right? Like, we're talking about what an impact he made on the game, and I'm looking up at the end, and I don't have the box score in front of me, but I mean, maybe you do. He played 10 minutes, 11 minutes tonight.
Yeah, I have it. Let's see.
It wasn't a lot.
Played,
here, I think I had
10,
it here. Here,
10
I have
minutes.
It. Yeah,
6 points and 4 rebounds in 10 minutes, but he took 2 threes and he made them both.
And that's
he only took one other shot. I mean, he was very efficient.
And I mean, but it's just make a positive impact on the game. Because here's the thing: the Warriors are looking for role players, and DiVincenzo he helped them tonight, and he's helped them in some games. He hasn't helped them in other games. Every night the Warriors lose, we talk about Kuminga. I know that's just part of the deal. But here's the needle that Moody's been able to thread, and it's the ability to make an impact on the game as a role player in limited minutes, and that's something that DiVincenzo has been extremely inconsistent with. Like, when DiVincenzo was rolling and playing well, it was when he was playing 25 to 30 minutes because Wiggins was out and he was starting for Wiggins. And there were, he just knew he was going to get more time. When Wiggins was out, the Warriors took Looney out of the starting lineup. They moved Draymond to center some. They put Kuminga in the starting lineup. They played him at the 4. And Kuminga knew he was getting 25 to 30 minutes in those instances. And he played well with that. And so the problem, though, is DiVincenzo isn't nearly as effective when he plays 10 or 15. And Kuminga is so ineffective when he's asked to play 10 or 15 that Steve Kerr said, I can't play you at all because you just can't fit your game into that box. And maybe it's because Moses Moody is, he doesn't have the ceiling, right, of a guy like Kuminga. He's just kind of a steady Eddie, solid guy, like the guy that you think is going to be in the league for 12 years. And so there's less pressure. He's also just extremely mature. And wise beyond his years, and some people just have that, and he has that as a young player. Like, we all know people who are extremely mature that are 20, and we all know people that are 35, 40, and there's no maturity there. They act like they're 16 still. Like, we all have friends that are that way. Or maybe it's you. I don't know, but Moody has a knack to be able to fit his game in that box that Kuminga and even DiVincenzo at times just haven't been able to do.
Yeah. Well, it's hard. It's hard to blend on a championship caliber team, and you got big egos, and the shot clock's, ticking down, and certain guys expect to take those shots, and it's like if you're gonna play on a team like that, you got to have confidence that you can knock them down, and then when you do take them, you got to knock them down. It's like when you play with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, and you're an outside shooter, I guarantee you it adds a layer of pressure, because you have to be efficient. You're not going to be able to come out and take 14 shots and make a few. You're going to have to be able to knock down the shots that you do get, and that's what Moses has been able to do. And then on the defensive end, he's got really good length, and he gets his hands on a lot of passes, and he's got the potential to be a good rebounder as well. So we saw him come away with 4 rebounds tonight in 10 minutes. That
he
I
just
love
does,
to see that.
He just does, and it's no shade at Kuminga. I don't mean to kind of keep bringing his name up in it, but he does, like, the rebounding is the perfect thing. Like, when he gets a handful of rebounds in limited minutes, and he's hustling around, and he's really blocking his man out, and he's attacking the ball when it's in the air, like that. Those are the exact things that Kuminga doesn't do, frankly. And if Kuminga did, I think Kuminga would have been playing throughout the course of both of these first 2 series. And look, I've said this, and I don't mean it to come off as rude, but I mean, if Kuminga wasn't as bad as he was in the Sacramento series, Kerr never would have maybe gone to Moody, and he's wound up being an extremely productive and positive player for them. And I don't think that should be lost. The fact that Kerr, and I'm not necessarily even giving Kerr credit, although he does deserve credit because he did tap him and go in, but it was almost a last resort kind of a thing. It was almost hey, the one kid isn't giving me what I want, so I'm just going to give Moody a shot. Like, I'm just going to give it to him. And if he plays well, we'll go from there. And again, he played well, but he only got his shot because Kuminga was so bad in game 2 of that Sacramento series, to where Kerr said, I'm throwing Moody in there in his spot when Draymond, I think, got in foul trouble in that game. And then Moody played well in game 2, and he's played like Moses Moody has been at worst a steady positive in each now of the last 11 playoff games that the Warriors have played of the 12 total.
Here's the only thing. I love Steve Kerr. I think he's enormously talented. I think he could be a success at lots of things. And I think he's one of the great coaches in the league today. And I hope he's the Warrior coach for years to come. But, and this is a big but, they have totally mismanaged their young kids all year.
100%.
They could have played. They didn't. Why did you have to invent Anthony Lamb? I think that their lack of understanding of how this year, what was really important and what wasn't, probably wasn't discussed enough initially when they put this thing together. They should have had a much earlier in the season conversation if they didn't have one, which is, guys, guess what? We have to win some games? We got to win enough games to make the playoffs. But what we really have to do is we have to commit to our young guys. And that means we have to get all of our developmental coaches, and we have to develop these guys, and they have to play. And we need to introduce them to our rotation, and they need to be players for us, period. No excuses. No, they can't do it. No disconnects. That's your charge. That's what we want to do. I don't care about if we're the 1 seed or the 8 seed. I want to make the playoffs, but I need those guys developed. It should have been co-priorities. Who cares I didn't care about the 4 seed. I never cared about the 5 seed. They
cared about the 6 seed, though.
I know they did. They should have just said, you know what? We're giving the whole first half of the year to Wiseman and Kuminga and Moody, and who cares? Who cares how they play? Who cares how many we win?
I don't think they would have made the playoffs, Larry.
Then
I really
that's
don't.
the line that you got to walk. But I mean, watching the way Moody has played as the season's progressed makes me think that he could have been playing this way earlier. And now seeing Kuminga, but I mean, they weren't really afforded the minutes earlier, and the minutes that they should have gotten went to Anthony Lamb to some degree. And I don't think that they should have. I think I wish Anthony Lamb never existed, because then they would have been forced to play Kuminga, forced to play Moody, forced to develop these guys in the regular season, which means very little. I don't really believe that it would have just jeopardized their playoff position that much. What were they? They were the 6, right?
Yeah, but they were 3 games away from being out.
Right.
I mean,
and so maybe but to me, developing those guys was, and you wanted to make the playoffs, and you needed to make the playoffs. That was the first priority. But I don't care what seed, just make the playoffs. And I wanted to see them develop Kuminga and Moody and Wiseman. Instead, they gave Wiseman away for a defensive 2 guard who's 30, and maybe it will work out. But I mean, you could have had that guy anyway. It's just the Wiseman thing was a fail. Second pick in the draft, he's gone. You got nothing. And Kuminga is right now a fail, because you're in the playoffs, and he's like persona non grata, garbage time. So you get 2/3 of your developmental game plan are gone, and you're not even in the conference finals yet. It's just like they're probably not. They needed Wiseman or something for Wiseman. They needed Kuminga or something for Kuminga, and they needed Moody or something for Moody to make this run without the veterans they had last year. And they're 1 for 3.
Yeah, I'll say this. Moody isn't exactly getting a lot of minutes now. I know we just talked about that, but he's making the most of the smaller minutes, and that's just something he didn't do in the regular season. I mean, I hear you. It's a fair point. Again, I'm not really going to argue with the fact that it could have been handled better, but I think their comeback to that would be, we'd be home now. And at that point, would it have been worth it? I don't know. And I get what you're saying. I believe me, I do. You're saying, hey, if you play them, you take your lumps. Eventually they get to a point where they contribute, and maybe it would have been bleak early, but you would have figured it out as you went along, and you'd have them farther along now, and you'd be in the same spot essentially, even though it would have taken a different path to get there. So JD,
the one thing we don't know is we don't know if Anthony Lamb didn't exist and Kerr was force-fed, had to force-feed Jonathan Kuminga minutes that he didn't deserve or whatever. Where would Jonathan Kuminga be right now? Would he be contributing? Because right now, Jonathan Kuminga is a 0, and Moses Moody, they're not getting anything out of Kuminga.
Yeah.
And I would have either rather. This is Steph Curry. I mean, let's look at this for what this is. This is Steph Curry. This is one of the greatest. This is like your modern day Jordan, and you're trying to get him one more ring. And to me, that was the priority of the whole thing. And it's like, you either had to turn those guys into guys that could help you get that ring, and they kind of did with Wiseman and GP2, but it's also, you had GP2, you let him walk. I mean, it's kind of a weird, it feels like a swing and a miss on Wiseman, even though GP2 is good.
I mean, it still could. I mean, if the Warriors go out Friday or go out in don't win a title, and GP2 struggles with injuries in the next couple of years, and Wiseman goes on to be a player, I mean, that still could look bad. It's okay now, but it better be okay now, right? You better win,
because you were going for now.
Short term. You better win the short term, like that. And that was one of the things. And I had pause for the Wiseman deal, really above all. Like, I don't think Kuminga's career is screwed here. Like, that's one
I don't
thing
either. But I mean, he's not there. Right now. He's not going to help you in this series. Do you believe? I don't think he will.
No, I don't. But I also don't.
I was hoping.
I just don't think. Yeah, and I mean, I think again, there's reasons why. I think at this point, which is, he was terrible in the Sacramento series. I get it. Again, I get it. If he played more, maybe he wouldn't be terrible in the Sacramento series. But
I mean, they just didn't develop him. He's not in their rotation. They haven't figured out a role.
Well, they tried to. They tried to. They said, hey, guard the ball. You're going to play the 4 on. Basically, they gave him the Gary Payton II role. Only then they got Gary Payton II back. And that meant they needed a different role carved out for him. They got Andrew Wiggins back, which meant, he was going to be in the starting lineup, and so was Draymond, and so was Looney. And so he just kind of got buried, I think, behind those two as those two came back and got in the fold. And I think the other rat on the table with I'm going guru here, 95-7 the game. The other rat on the table is the fact that I don't think like Kerr takes the bullet for it, and rightfully so. He's the head coach. Development is on him and their staff. I don't think the veteran players trust Kuminga. I don't think the veteran players trusted Wiseman. Like I don't think it's I don't think it's all Kerr. Like I think and those players have a voice.
I think
especially
there's no
Steph and
question.
Draymond. Like Steph and Draymond could go to Kerr in a quiet moment and say, "We can't play this guy," and he can't help us. I want GP out there. I want Lamb out there. I want whoever. And they have enough pull to do that. And it was just such a weird year. I mean, if they intended on playing those guys, but it just got off to such a bad start that they were fighting this uphill climb all year. And by the time they got to, let's say, early December, where it looked like they were turning it around, I think they went from 3-7 to 13-11. So they had a 10-4 stretch after their terrible opening stretch. But basically, they hit the 10-4 stretch by not playing the young players at all. And then right when they got to a point where they could sort of recalibrate because they had caught their breath and not gotten buried in the first month and a half of the year, then guys started getting hurt. And so then they weren't winning games because Curry was out for a month, and then Wiggins was missing time, and so it just kind of snowballed on them, to the point where they didn't do enough in the first 2 months, and then by the time they kind of got it together, they started losing guys, and then the roles were shifting around, and it just never quite got on track where the development met the ability to maximize what you had in terms of a regular season, even to get the 6 seed. And they wanted the 6 seed. Like they didn't want anything better than the 6 seed, but they
just wanted to avoid the play-in.
Exactly. And they stated that
they wanted no part of the play-in.
They did it by game, right? Like they towed that line. And,
I'm just not 100% convinced that if they had gone with the young guys, that it would have been that much worse. I mean, who knows? Who knows? I mean, it's it's one of those things you don't know. I mean,
I don't know what happens whether they trade him, Larry, or if he comes back next year and they continue to develop him. But I don't think you can make the case you would have wanted him to play and help in this series. That's totally fair. I also don't think that I think he's made strides this year from last year. And if he's not ready to help in the playoffs, then that's okay. Like I think he's still I do think when you take a step back and it's all said and done, you can say that he made enough steps from year 1 to year 2 to where you can go into the offseason and you can say, hey, look, these are the things you need to work on. And your handle is something you really need to work on. Your motor is something you really need to work on. And your corner 3 is something that you really need to work on. And your awareness defensively when you're not a ball hawk, your awareness in defensive rotation. Like those are the things. And again, those things are not easy. Like the ball handling, you can get in the gym and work on your ball handling and do a bunch of drills. I mean, hell, hire Steph Curry's guy and do a bunch of ball handling drills for 4 months in the off season. And I mean, that to me, for Kuminga to be the offensive player that he thinks he can be, he needs to become tenfold the ball handler that he is, because he wants to be a guy that puts it on the deck and puts his head down and gets into the paint and draws fouls and dunks and pulls up and scores and finishes, all that. It all starts with having a much better handle. He thinks he's got a good handle. He's got a terrible handle. and but again, that's something I think from an offensive standpoint that can be fixed. Defensively, motor. Higher, to me, you do it by playing, like pick up and playing, summer league. Hopefully he plays in summer league. Third-year guys are not required. Third-year guys have the option to skip it. He basically skipped it last year, even though he was there. But if I'm him, I go to summer league and I fly around and I'm a high motor guy. I'm not too cool to be there because I want to be a put it on the deck.
Well, what you're saying is maybe play him on the ball. Maybe play him. I mean, if you decide what he's going to be, because he's not a natural rebounder, even though he should be, and he's probably a 5. If the way they play in a lot of ways, he's definitely a 4 or a 5. He's not a small player.
I think
what you're saying
is a 4 right now for sure.
But I agree with your assessment though that what he needs is handle development. So they may want to play him like a 1 in the summer league and just play him on the ball and let him turn it over a ton and just get tons of repetitions with the ball in his hand. Because you're right, if he ever gets a better handle, he's got some Kawhi Leonard type, ability, but he needs the experience turning it over, and he can't do that in the NBA. But he needs to develop it somewhere.
But he does need to develop it in a big way. And he just, I mean, to me, that's the biggest thing that he can do to improve his offensive game is ball handling, even above his shot. And, defensively, I think, you learn defensive awareness and rotations and system defense. Like, I think he's pretty good when they put him on the ball and they say, hey, this is your assignment. You're going to almost like a corner. You're going to play press man. And,
he's
that's
the best athlete on the floor.
And that's all you got to do, right? Where he does tend to struggle is when teams put him in act. And I thought Mike Brown, we talked in that last series. I know I'm being a little redundant with you, but we talked in that last series about, what does Mike Brown know and where does he have an advantage over different Warriors players, this player and that player? He annihilated Kuminga. Like he made Kuminga. In fact, he probably made Kuminga unplayable too quickly, because Kerr went away from him to a point where like they couldn't really expose him for long enough for being out. Like he put him in pick and roll. He put him in off ball rotations to where he had to cover 2-3 passes back to a man and close out. Like Mike Brown eviscerated Jonathan Kuminga in that series. Like he basically made him unplayable for 2 series because of and again, he wasn't on the floor that much in that time. And so anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent. I appreciate the conversation and not getting yelled at, because every time I think we have a dialogue about Kuminga, I feel like and I'm not saying from anybody like Cy but everybody, like fans love the kid. Like fans love the kid. And I think he's talented for sure, but I do think there's this disconnect between how good he is now and how good he'll be in the future.
Yeah. Oh no, the guy is a major, major talent, but he does need development. He didn't play college basketball. He developed differently, and he's in some ways I think he's not that far away. And other times I watch him and I think, man, he's really far away. But he's one of the NBA's greatest athletes. I think it was a great pick. I hope they're patient with him. He's the one guy I would keep. What did you think of the Cowherd rumor of the day? You saw that one, right? Cowherd threw out.
I thought
it was the Wiggins and Poole for Jaylen Brown and Malcolm Brogdon. Would you do?
The Celtics would. I mean, I would do that. I think the Celtics would slam the phone down and rip it out of the wall, and if it's a cell phone, stomp on it and run a military vehicle over the phone and say never like that's
the only reason I could see them even considering it is if Jaylen Brown has told them, guys, I don't want to live here. I won't sign here. And so you can, and I do want to go live in the Bay Area because he went to college here. If he said, you know what, I want to live there and I want to sign there, if he let it be known through his agent that, hey, I'm going to when I get a chance, I'm going back to the Bay Area and I'm going to sign with the Warriors. So then they're like, oh, you know what? Well, we might as well just trade him there. At least we'll get some assets back. The assets of Wiggins and Poole, I don't know. I'm not a Poole fan, but
not enough.
What else do you need?
I mean,
what else do you need?
I mean, you need Kuminga. I mean, I'm sorry. Like here's the thing. Wiggins is the stopgap, right? Like Wiggins is the guy who would start in Brown's spot. Kuminga would be the blue chip talent that you think you can turn into the next Jaylen Brown in a couple of years. Like that. Like, so to me,
Poole has to be in the deal because of the contract.
And Poole would have to be in the deal, which is why you'd get Brogdon back as well. And Brogdon would be beautiful for the Warriors. Like he'd be perfect. Like those pieces for the Warriors would be great, but you're getting more useful players back than you're giving up at this point if you're the Warriors. So to me, Kuminga would have to be in that deal as well. And if I'm Boston, you're giving up a franchise player, man. Like, because he's 1A with Tatum. I know Tatum is technically the one, and I think Tatum was first team All NBA, right? I know that I think was Brown second. I have to look at
Guys
that.
In the chat were suggesting Draymond spilled that to Cowherd because they work under the same umbrella.
No, it's interesting. No, it's interesting. I mean, if the Warriors could do that, I'd do it. I'd even give up Kuminga to do it, to be honest, because you
would give up Kuminga to do it.
I would. Because to me, if you had Steph, Clay, Draymond, Brown, Looney, Brogdon as your top six, you're younger, you're sturdier, and then at that point you add from there, right? You build it out from there. But that's a good six.
Yeah, it is.
If you could do it. So, but that to me, that was too good to be true. Like I'm hanging up the phone if I may not even do that if I'm Boston, if Kuminga's in the deal, to be honest. But he would have to be in the deal to even have a conversation for me.
All I'll say is, if Boston has a memory of last year's finals, they should love Wiggins because he kicked their ass.
No doubt.
He was awesome.
I want him, but he isn't Jaylen Brown.
No, but if they knew that Jaylen Brown was bailing, I don't know. It really depends.
Yeah, there'd have to be some pressure on them for sure.
It would have to be one of those behind the scenes agent deals to make that work. Warriors with the win tonight, 8-2 under Kerr in elimination games. Friday night, do they go to 9-2 or 8-3? Well, what do you see in Friday night?
The part of that I found so fascinating in parsing through it was not even the 7-2 and now 8-2. It's 4-0 on the road. 4-0 on the road among that. So they, the two times they got beat were over at Oracle in the 16 finals and then in the 19 finals by Toronto, the final game played there. But they've won on the road in elimination games now in Sacramento, in Houston in 2018. They won in Toronto. Remember, before the Warriors came back and lost Game 6 at Oracle, they won at Toronto in a Game 5 with the Raptors up 3-1. And I covered that series, and that was a zoo. In that, that was like maybe the most unreal atmosphere I've ever been in. And like Toronto on a night to win the NBA championship, the town was about to freaking explode, and the Warriors somehow survived. I think a Kawhi Leonard corner three at the buzzer to win that one and escape and go back, and then they ended up losing. And obviously that was the game that was a game where Durant got hurt, the game in Toronto, and then Clay got hurt in the next game. And then Game 6 in OKC, which was another just cauldron of hostility, and they survived that with the Game 6 Clay. They were down double digits in a couple of those games too. In Houston, they were down double digits. In OKC, they were down double digits. But the part that stands out, and some of it was a while ago, is the 4-0 on the road. So when this team faces elimination on the road, they have not been beaten. That to me is even more impressive. To me, it's about the offense. Does the offense that the Warriors were able to display tonight travel? Because they just have not, in the games at Crypto, they just have not been able to score enough, to be efficient enough, to be composed enough on that end of the ball. The defense has been there. Tonight was a more loosely played game, which I think the Warriors will take. The Lakers, I thought, were coasting tonight, just trying to do enough offensively to hang around. And if they were close enough, maybe they would decide how hard they wanted to go down the stretch defensively or in the fourth quarter. And the Warriors always kept them enough at arm's length to where the Lakers never really gave them a full throat defensive effort, because I think they were trying to keep something in their back pocket for Friday night back at home. But to me, it's about the offense. Simply put, can either Curry or Clay have a monster game? I think they're going to need a monster game from one of those two, and they're going to have to make threes. To me, can they have a 15, 16? It doesn't even have to be 20. Can they have a 15 or a 16 3-point make game? Or, and it might be even and/or, can Wiggins get to the 20 to 25? Can Draymond, again, not 20, but can Draymond give them 12? And, with some dunk, it's not even 20. Can you give them double digits? Can they withstand the Poole DiVincenzo minutes? Can Moody knock down open shots again? Like, to me, I think it's all offense focused. Limit the turnovers, make shots, don't take bad shots that allow the Lakers to get on those little runs that they've had a lot in this series. If the offense can be there, I think they've got a great shot. If the offense isn't there, then I think they wind up going home and coming up short.
Klay Thompson is 6 of 23. He's been remarkably consistent the last 2 games. Tonight, 3 of 12. The last game, 3 of 11. 6 of 23. I'm fearful, JD, that Klay Thompson's going to try to force Game 6 Klay.
He did the last Game 6. Now they were up 3-2, but he did against Sacramento, and he was terrible in that game. He was
that's a concern for me, because it's like, you know what, there's a lot of him trying to dial it back to yesteryear, and I don't think it's quite there. And I'd rather him hunt high percentage 2s and square up and shoot the ball more times than take those rushed 3s, super deep 3s, trying to like light up the crowd 3s.
Yep.
I'm worried that he's going to try to find Game 6 Klay and shoot them out of it.
And you should be. And I think if tonight's any indicator, you can live. I mean, it wasn't good tonight. He played a better floor game tonight. I don't think he chased it early. He did. I think he was 0 for 4 real quick. And really, he was the only reason the Warriors weren't kind of in blowout mode even quicker than they were early. And the Lakers hung around. I think they were down 4 at the end of the first quarter. But to me, you can live with 3 of 11, 3 of 12. You can, what it can't be is into the 5 of 18, 19 range. And so I in a way, I give him a little credit for limiting it to 10 to 12. Like Wiggins being the second, most field goal attempts tonight, I think was key. Now he was on and he was aggressive, but that's almost necessary. I think right now is, Wiggins to be in attack mode, but yeah, Klay can't chase it. And again, I thought his game Monday was good enough for the Warriors to win, even though he wasn't good until the fourth quarter, until the 30-foot heave from the right wing with 5 in the shot clock, until the one that went viral where he took the one right in front of Kerr and Kerr puts his hands on his head like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I mean, that was I think the image of Game 4 was Steve Kerr like putting his hands on his head like, I can't believe you just took that shot in that particular situation. So if he can avoid those, I think the Warriors, believe it or not, as long as they're getting help from other places, can live with a 3 of 10. But what they really need is him to go out and make 6 or 7 and Curry to go out and make 5 or 6. And if you get that game, then you got a great shot, because to me, you need to put pressure on the Lakers to keep scoring. The Warriors did that tonight. Warriors put pressure on the Lakers to keep scoring, and the Lakers were the team that had the little mini droughts that allowed the Warriors to go from 10 points to 16 points up, or 10 points to 18 points up, and the Lakers would cut it back to 8 or 10, and then the Warriors would push it back out again. Like the Warriors, I think, want a game that there's more flow and pace and tempo, and like the style of game tonight really favored the Warriors, even though Klay specifically didn't have a great game shooting it.
Yeah. All right, man. What do we know the time for Game 7?
We do. We know the time. Game 6 is going to be at 7. We know that.
Okay.
Game 7 is going to be at 12:30. No matter what, that is official. Game. If the Warriors and Lakers play Game 7, it will be played at 12:30 in the afternoon, right back here at Chase Center on ABC. Part of that Sunday afternoon window that they love. There's going to be one game in that window. The Warriors Lakers, if they play, gets the first priority. There could be other options depending upon what happens.
It's Mother's Day.
It is. It is Mother's Day.
So it is
Mother's Day.
So it's going to be one of those.
It's get that brunch early.
Wife's going to want to do something. Now we got 12:30 Warriors.
Well, you got Saturday to make it up. Because you'll know Friday night if it's happening or not, and then you got Saturday to make it up. Or hey, we're gonna do,
honey, let's do Mother's Day early.
Or we're gonna do it at 10. We're gonna do it 9-10 in the morning, or we're gonna do it at 3:30. But you're hoping that at that point the Warriors don't lose, because then you're gonna have a pissed off Mother's Day late brunch at 3:30.
Nothing goes better with a Game 7 than mimosas. Mimosas
sure.
and dubs, Shante Ortega.
100%.
Oh, man. All right, JD, great stuff. This one, it really felt like the Warriors game much of the night, and I just love the way Green played. It was great to see Poole kind of get off the canvas, right? Because he looked so bad last game.
You know what? Tonight, I just want to jump in on Poole real quick.
Yeah.
You can live with tonight. And Poole wasn't great.
Wasn't
but
great,
but he was completely unplayable. Kill you, get the F off the floor.
Zero free throw attempts, though, for a guy who's the best free throw shooter.
And his three's not there, and he took some bad ones. But Kerr literally had to rip him out of the game Monday night and said, "Hey, I'm done with you for the night." It was like a pitcher getting shelled in the first inning. All right, you're done. Before you kill the game, I'm taking you out and I'm sitting you down. And what's
I don't get, JD, is I don't get why they can't go to Jordan Poole and just say, look, you can beat guys off the dribble, and they're going to hack you, but you go to the rim and try to jam it. You're 6'4", you do have handle, so you can get inside and just try to jam it on everybody, and they'll foul. Eventually they're going to foul you, and then you're going to go to the line. And either way, we win. But these mid-range and deep threes and I'm Steph and all this garbage, to me, it's like that's where he starts getting so crafty and all these different angles and all these different looks. He doesn't look comfortable. I'd rather him just say, attack the rim and jam it. And then if they stop you, then you're going to the line, probably. Or foul out, but I want to see that guy attack. To me, that should be the key to his game. He needs to get stronger and get tougher and attack the rim because he's the best foul shooter going.
I thought the one thing he did tonight, which I'm sure they sat him down, and I think they've probably sat him down 6 or 7 times here in the 12 games that they've played. They've probably sat him down 6 or 7 times and said, "Hey man, keep it moving. Get out there, you're going to bring the ball up, but bring it up and get into something." The thing that I think they're really trying to avoid is him where he gets the ball and he's just standing there and when's he going to go? And he falls down. And to me, there was a lot more. Yeah, you get the ball, you're going to take a couple dribbles, you're going to flip it to somebody, you're going to cut, you're going to move, you're going to get it back, and you're going to be more decisive and either attack quickly or don't attack at all. Because the whole pause and wait and think and try to get by, that ain't working. And so I think he did a better job of kicking it to somebody and then moving and then getting it back and cutting and different. There are a couple times where he got some cuts. He got out in transition, which I think is something they can do a little bit more. I love the fact that the Warriors got in transition the way that they did tonight. I think that's something to bottle up. I mean, that push, run. There was a real emphasis, I thought, tonight on running and playing full court and speed. And I think that helps him when you get it and you throw ahead and you look to get some easy buckets, which he was able to do.
Last question. Who do you want ref in the game Friday night? Does it matter?
It shouldn't matter. And
I know it shouldn't matter, but does it matter? Because Bonte always tweets out who's reffing these games, and I look at it.
I do too.
And it's like, what do I think about that? You know what I mean? It's like, and does it really matter? And I'm just kind of wondering, how concerned are you about the officiating in Game 6? And does it matter who calls the game? And is there an official you want or an official you don't want?
Well, I always like, and you're not going to get him because he just did Game 4, but I always like Scott Foster as a road official. He's somebody whose reputation is that he's not going to be intimidated by a home crowd. There ain't going to be any home cooking. And, I know the Warriors weren't thrilled with the whistle in Game 4, but the whistle was plenty good enough in Game 4 with him there for the Warriors the Warriors had the game right there at a cut. So it wasn't like, I know there was a discrepancy. I don't know what it was, 8 or 9. It wasn't quite as drastic as the other 2 games the Lakers won, but it wasn't tonight and game 2. It's funny that, the 2 games the Warriors have won, it's been basically even or within 1, I think. Tonight it was basically even. And so I think it was really kind of a middle ground. Like the Lakers had their normal advantage, but it wasn't a crazy advantage to a point where you feel like the Warriors, were maybe getting the short end of the stick compared to the other games. But I like kind of the no-name crews. I think the Warriors have been pretty good in the no-name crews, where you look at the three names and you basically, nobody that follows the league knows that the history of, this guy hate, this guy the Lakers hate, and this guy the Rockets don't like, and this guy the Suns would rather not have. And so I think the no-name crews probably benefit things. But the one thing I will say too is, and again, this is kind of cynical, but I'm not afraid to say it. Like, let's be honest. If you really want to play the game, like, what does the league want? Like, what does the league want? Like, what does the league want Friday? League wants the Warriors to win and have it go to Game 7 and do exponential ratings compared to that Sunday slot that the Warriors and Kings did 2 weeks ago at 12:30 Pacific. Like, that's really, like, the league wants, and again, the players are going to decide it. I'm not saying conspiracy, but if you are somebody that wants to think about it like that.
JD from 95.7 says the fix is in.
No, I'm just saying
I hear you.
Like,
no, I hear you.
I think
I
it's
hear
more
you.
apt to be even. I think it's more apt to be even Friday, believe it or not.
Right.
And then it's on the Warriors to play well enough to win, which they didn't do in Game 4, because I thought they had a game. I thought Game 4 was officiated in a manner where it was right there for the Warriors. Like, nothing to complain about. Go get it. And they weren't good enough.
One last one. You're there on the road with the Warriors, so you travel with them. What's the deal with LA? Is it that they don't darken the audience? And is it the fact that is it like, okay, so like if you go walk into the Chase Center at 6:30, I think pretty much the way it looks is the way it's going to look. So the guys who shoot around get the look of what they actually get. It seems to me that they keep the lights on and then darken them for the game. Is it possible that screws with the depth perception of some of these shooters? Warriors have not shot it well there, really, and the Lakers really do shoot it well there.
Yeah.
What do you make anything of that? Well, you're in the arena. At what point does because the Clipper games, JD, it's different.
It's
the lighting's different.
It's bright.
But
yeah.
When do they darken it? Is it right before tip, or is it because maybe they shoot around and it's brighter out there and it screws with their depth perception?
Yeah, to my eye, it's just always and I'll pay closer attention to it just to be sure on Friday when I'm there. But to me, it's always the crowd is dark. The outside areas are dark. The court is more lit up, but it is definitely a dimmer light overall than, say, when the Clippers are there. It's also just it's just a massive, just cavernous building. I mean, they play hockey there, so the end zones are obviously deeper because they got to put the hockey rink down for the LA Kings, and so you get a deeper end zone, right? Because you need that extra space. So any of the seats that you put in the area where the hockey rink would be are those temporary seats that basically just get rolled in or set in when you're in the basketball configuration. But it creates some weird different depth and angles, basically right behind the basket, which would be, which would mess maybe a little bit with the depth perception and those kinds of things. It is a massive, like, I was talking to an usher actually here at Chase tonight about how Chase is more steep and up, like it, it goes up sharply, but you still feel like you're close and on, like the fans are close and on top of you. Some of the in the end zones, you're farther away at a place like Crypto or Staples, and so it does create a little bit more of a cavernous feel to it. And the lighting is a thing. There's no doubt. Like, I tried not to buy a lot into it, but from being there in games 3 and game 4, I mean, the Warriors just got good looks that they could not hit. So I do think there's a little something to it. The career numbers for Steph and Clay, I think they're both 41% for their careers. in that building, like when it's a Laker game. So I don't know if it's something that does get discussed regularly and has over the years. So is it something that maybe is in the heads of the Warriors a little bit? I don't know. I mean, I don't think so, but it's something they're gonna have to overcome. There's no doubt. I mean, they've won when they've won playoff games over the Clippers when they've played them a couple of times over the last decade.
I feel good as long as the differential in free throws is 5 or less. The differential between then I'll feel better. If it gets into an absurd, what was the worst that we've seen in this series?
I think it was game 1, right, where it was 20. It was a 20-point difference. I think it was maybe a 21 or.
When it gets into the 20s, that gets absurd.
Well, I think the Lakers had 26 attempts in game 1 or 20, and the Warriors had 6.
I feel relatively confident that Golden State will prevail as long as they just kind of hold their own in all the categories.
Well, they have
their own points in the paint, hold their own on the glass, hold their own on the turnovers. They can't, you know what I'm saying? If they just hold their own on these things, I think that's. I like their chances. And as long as the game's reffed, it can't be one of these, well, at the end of the game, well, that's just the style the Warriors play and that's the style the Lakers play. And, I mean, I get that. I get it. But if it's a huge disparity, it's going to be annoying to me.
No doubt. And I think it's funny. I didn't, and again, call me cynical, but a few people asked me, like, what do you think about the official and the game in general, talking about coming into tonight? And I said over and over to anybody who asked me, I said, you know what? I don't think it's going to be a big deal tonight. Like, how do I know it's not going to be a big deal? And then it's not a big deal. Like it's interesting. Like, I thought, hey, 3-1, Warriors are home. Again, tonight, it was something that I thought, it won't be something we're talking about after the game. That was my thought all day leading up to it. And then sure enough, it's not something we're talking about at the end of the night. And so, but to me, it was more the 3-1 component than Zach Zarba or his crew. But I think Zach Zarba is a pretty steady, level-headed official. He's been in the game for a long time. James Williams, I think, is one of the he's no-name guy, solid guy. Nobody knows his rep with Team X or Y. And then Petritis was somebody that did have a little bit of a negative history with the Warriors with some technical fouls in the past, but whatever. I think with the other two out there, he's kind of the third in the pecking order. So with the other two, Zarba, who's been in it for, 25 years, and James Williams, who's been a steady official for, I think, over a decade now. Petritis wasn't going to be a factor, I guess, in this one.
Well, it was good to see them get a win, and to me, it was good to see the Lakers had to play his guys all the way till the 3-minute mark, so there wasn't like a night off. And I think putting more wear and tear on the Lakers is good because their key guys look a little bit dinged. As LeBron looks sore, AD looks like he can't run the marathon. The Warriors look like they can run better than the Lakers. We'll see. We'll see Game 6. Hey, JD, what do you got going on 95.7 tomorrow? Where can people check you out?
Yeah, I'm going to be on with my guys Steiny and Guru in the 1 o'clock hour tomorrow, and then I'm hanging in the Bay tomorrow, and I'm going to go to LA on Friday. So a little bit of a different change. Normally I'd go the night before. I guess the Warriors are not having any kind of practice or anything. I guess they're going to have a media availability tomorrow and in LA, which unfortunately I'm not going to be there for, but it's just going to be Steve Kerr, I guess, at the team hotel tomorrow. And then Friday I'll be on with Steiny and Guru, and then have Warriors live at 6:00 from Crypto.com Arena. And then Saturday I'm going to be on with Whitey Gleason as well. Our Warriors This Week show. It's either going to be the Game 7 preview show or it's going to be the season in review show
what time?
On Saturday from 10 until 1. So that'll also originate from LA, and then I'm going to be coming back late in the afternoon, hopefully getting ready for a game 7. But yeah, late in the afternoon on Saturday. So looking forward to it. Gonna be on that plane, I think 6 o'clock on Friday morning, and just ready to roll and see if the Warriors can keep this thing going.
Thank you, brother. Have a great night. I'll be down in Santa Clara tomorrow covering 49er rookie minicamp.
Awesome.
And I'll be sitting in for Dibs with the great Willard.
Cool.
Monday in afternoon drive. JD, always awesome, man. You're fantastic. Everybody in the chat are huge JD fans. Car God says Larry JD, best in the business. Seriously, you do an incredible job, man. And I don't know if people tell you that, but they should. And you really do an incredible job. Lots of Warrior fans are like, oh, man, JD's the man. So love the coverage. Thank you for going overtime. I know it's somewhat of a labor of love, but also there's labor involved. So I appreciate you spending the long hours with us. And hopefully we'll get a chance to talk to you after a victorious Game 6 and a victorious Game 7. And would love to see this thing all the way to the next round. I mean, at this point, I still think Denver gets the Warriors. But you know what? If the Warriors can get by the Lakers, that's all. I consider that success. I mean, I think Denver gets the Warriors, even if the Warriors get the next round. But that's how I see it. I don't know what your plan is.
I think Denver's been really impressive. I think what they've done to Phoenix, and Phoenix is kind of a two-man team at this point, but Denver is deep. They have offense. They have defense. They know their roles. They're tough to beat in their building. They haven't been beaten in their building yet. They're 6-0. They've got a real good home court advantage there. The one thing I will say about the Warriors, and I said this on the pregame today on 95.7, and I won't take too long because I know you're trying to wrap it up, but the Warriors do remind me a lot. And this is going back to when I was a kid, basically, but they remind me of the 95 Rockets. And the 1995 Rockets, they were a defending champion. They were a 6 seed, the only 6 seed that ended up winning the championship. But the Rockets were defending champion. They had a regular season. Now, the one difference is they went and they traded at the deadline for Clyde Drexler, which was, an upgrade. They got a future Hall of Famer to kind of because it was going so bad for them, to the point where it looked like they might not even make the playoffs. But their first round, so they're the 6 seed, they're defending champs. Their regular season was blah. First round, they get down 0-2, and they come back and they win 3 straight. In those days, it was a best of 5. But they got down 0-2. They won 3 straight. They beat Utah in Salt Lake City with Stockton and Malone. They won Game 5, which was basically Game 7 then. So they were down 0-2. They won 3-2. And then in the second round, they got down 3-1. And they are one of the 13 teams out of 277 or whatever it is that have come back from 3-1 down. They got down to Phoenix with Barkley and Kevin Johnson and those guys 3-1. And they came back and they won Game 5, they won Game 6, they won Game 7. And all of their bad games, I just remember, all of their bad playoff games were absolute freaking train wrecks. I mean, it just looked like, who are these guys? They're not champions. They can't hit a shot. They're turning I just remember their bad games, they looked awful. And it just reminds me of the Warriors. But they found a way to get through that second round. And they were just so tough to kill. As they reached the brink, they played better. And as the playoffs went on, they slowly figured it out to the point where once they got through that second round, then it was like they could taste it, how close they were to getting to the finals, and Hakeem Olajuwon went absolutely nuts. He was he destroyed David Robinson, he destroyed Shaquille O'Neal. It's one of the more improbable championship runs ever. But the Warriors have a little of that, and that was the Rudy Tomjanovich. Never underestimate the heart of a champion, bellow as they swept the Magic. But it's been such a grind, and these first 2 series have been such a grind. And Denver would be no picnic, without a doubt. But there's something to, you get through that first round, you find a way to come back from 3-1, and I'm not saying it gets easier, but for these guys, it may get a little easier in a way because.
So you're saying there's a chance.
So I just wouldn't rule them out. They're tough to kill, and they just remind me of more than any other team. I know it's a weird comp, and it was a long time ago.
What year Rockets was that?
That was 95. The 95 Rockets. And they went back to back. They won the title. They won the title in 94. They were, I think, one or a 2 seed in 94, 2 seed, I think, in 94. And then the next year they were the 6. And so they won it out of the 6 hole. They beat Utah, who was a 3.
This is the 94-95 Rockets?
Yeah, 94-95. I think they won 47 games, maybe.
They went 47-35 under Rudy T.
Yeah.
And yeah, they won the first round over Utah in 5. They beat Phoenix in the semis in 7.
After being down 3-1.
They beat the Spurs in the conference finals in 6.
And then swept
4 straight against against Shaq.
They won their last 6 playoff games because they were 2-2 in that conference finals, and then won the last 2, and then so they won 6 straight to win the title, kind of like the Giants did back when they beat
Scotty Brooks, Chucky Brown, Sam Cassell, Pete Chilcutt, the former King, Clyde Drexler, Mario Elie, Carl Herrera, Robert Horry, Vernon Maxwell, Tracy Murray. What a shooter he was.
That was
Hakeem
the year
the Dream, of course. Kenny
Hakeem
Smith.
Amazing. That was the year with the Mario Elie
Otis Thorpe.
He made the 3 in the corner against the Suns, and he blew the kiss. He turned and blew a kiss to their bench, the kiss of death. They call that still in Houston in Game 7. That was a Game 7. Basically hit the game-winning 3 in Game 7, and Mario Elie just turned and he kissed the Suns bench goodbye as they knocked him out. That was just a fun team.
That was Olajuwon at the apex of his career, man. He was 32 at that point. He still had another 7-8 years left, but he had a huge year that year.
Yeah, that was the dream shake. That was the year where he put the
27 a game for Olajuwon, 27 and 10.
Yeah, and he went through David Robinson, who was the MVP that year, and then young Shaq. Yeah. And then back to back and annihilated both of them.
People always, that's the one thing too, is people talk about Jordan. Jordan, and then he took those 2 years off. He would have won anyway. No. My assessment, because I lived it, and my assessment of it was Jordan would have gotten one of those 2. Olajuwon would have gotten one of those 2. One of those 2 years, because the 1 year they beat the Knicks, right, and then 1 year they beat the Magic. They got 2, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And I think
2 years Jordan was playing baseball. They won.
Jordan would have gotten one of those 2, but Olajuwon was so good. I really believe Olajuwon would have gotten one. He was that good.
He was a monster, and
awesome.
and that year he was that year was just spectacular. That playoff run was spectacular.
I'm biased though. I would take Hakeem against virtually almost any center in any era. I think
I would too.
I think he's that good.
Oh,
think about it. He came
was
in
my
the league
favorite
as a
player
defensive
as a kid.
force.
He was my favorite player. I wanted it was just I love the footwork and the dream.
It was amazing.
And yeah, he was great.
And 6'10", run the floor, the dream shake behind the backboard.
Block shots. He could guard the perimeter.
Run the floor.
He would be great today. He would be great in today's game because he could face up. He can guard pick and roll. He would be.
He's in my all-time starting 5.
He would be a freaking terror. He would be unbelievable.
Who is your 5 in your all-time starting 5?
Oh man. Now that's tough.
Because I'm going to Keem. I know there are people would say Russell or Chamberlain or Kareem. I get it. To me, I'll give you another year that I thought, if I can call my center in my year, I'll take Moses in 83. Moses Malone was incredible in 83.
Sure.
Totally dominating. But I would go with Hakeem.
I'd probably go Magic, Jordan, and Curry's coming for Magic.
Jordan.
I would go Magic, Jordan, LeBron. I'm just kind of going my lifetime. So just the last, basically since the 80s. And who that's only 3, right?
Yeah. Who's your power forward?
God.
You can play LeBron anywhere.
Yeah.
Magic, Jordan, LeBron.
Maybe I go LeBron, Larry Bird.
Ooh. Yeah.
And then maybe I go LeBron, Larry Bird, and don't have a traditional 4. Play LeBron at the 4, and then I can have a center. And I think of my lifetime. I mean, it's either Shaq or Hakeem as far, or, because I didn't see prime Kareem. It's probably got to be Kareem. I think.
Yeah, it's got. I mean, Kareem was
it's probably
incredible.
got to be Kareem. It's probably got to be Kareem. Honestly.
I'm didn't see young Kareem with the Bucks. Neither did you.
Right.
And I only saw a lot of. We saw the Lakers.
I didn't see a lot of Laker Kareem either. But
okay, so I saw Laker Kareem in the '80s.
Yeah,
and he was incredible.
I saw maybe like a year or two that I remember. Maybe like 2 years that I remember. The last 2 years of his career, basically the first 2 years I remember watching hoop.
But Olajuwon came into the league as a defensive monster and then became an offensive juggernaut. So it's like what? You were both? Yeah, he was both. He was that good. He was so quick, and he was just quick jumper and just dominating, just totally dominating. But I would probably go
Shaq deserves some. I mean, Shaq. I mean, there's nobody as dominant as Shaq when Shaq was. I mean, like early 2000s Laker Shaq.
Shaq.
Go back and watch.
Or how about Magic Shaq?
Yeah,
I think that Shaq was Tolbert used to talk about being a teammate of his.
Oh right, yeah.
When young Shaq was doing his thing, I mean that Shaq was flat out scary. I mean, he was.
Yeah, he looked
awesome.
he looked like a 7-foot defensive end. I mean, he was lean, and I mean, it was. And then you've got 2000 Shaq, where he looked like he was just like, I mean, he had no neck, and he was just like and he was strong. This is before he got a little heavy. I think toward the end of their three-peat, he got a little heavy. But he was just that first year that he won with the Lakers in 2000, he was just a freaking monster. I mean, it was unbelievable. He was a tank.
Yeah. I think I would go if my all-time team. I think I'm going Magic, Curry, and Jordan together. I'm going with those three guys. I'm going with the 3-guard lineup because Steph can play off the ball.
And LeBron.
And then I'm going Magic, and then I'm going those 3 guys, and then LeBron and Hakeem.
Okay. I like it. Curry
Could you
is
imagine that
case.
team, by the way, with Jordan, Magic, Curry, LeBron, and Hakeem?
There's a lot of balance there. You got a lot of scoring, shooting, passing.
That's a crazy team.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, before we let you out of here, the All-NBA first team. Did you see this today?
I did. Yeah.
So what do you think? Gilgeous-Alexander, Luka, Embiid, Tatum, and Giannis. It's hard to argue with that. I was surprised that Julius Randle was a third-teamer, but Curry is a second team. Any of those stand out? What was the big debate today on the all-time team? First, second, and third teams.
I think they nailed
NBA.
it. I mean, I think the surprise was Gilgeous-Alexander being number one. I was a
He
little
deserved
surprised.
it, though. He was incredible.
He was amazing this year. No, I was, to be honest, I was happy to see it. And yeah, Tatum was first team. Jaylen Brown was second team. Okay, that's what I thought. Jaylen Brown was second team. I was a little surprised Damian Lillard was third team. I didn't think Damian Lillard had the year that he's had maybe in other years.
Who would you have gone with? Who could have been a guard? Because you could have played Fox as the one there and gone with a 2-guard. There's got to be some 2-guard in the league.
Yeah, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I didn't have a replacement, which I think you should have. Obviously, should have a replacement if you're gonna take somebody off. But I don't know. I just didn't think he had a great, as great a year as maybe he's had in the past, which isn't necessarily an indictment. How about Fox how about the Kings getting 2 of the top 15? I mean, both third teamers, but they got Fox and Sabonis as third teamers. That was something that, they both deserved it. I mean, Sabonis was the third best center in the league after Embiid and Jokic. And then Fox had a terrific year. I mean, that's one where I thought, I thought, maybe Fox or Lillard, but they ended up with Fox and Lillard. I thought that was interesting. I think he could make a case for Booker to be in maybe the Lillard spot, but he had injuries, but so did Lillard. So yeah, I think Booker would maybe be the guy that I would have
Yeah.
I would have put in there.
Yeah. I think that's a good call. Booker, especially the way he finished the year. And Lillard seemed like he was banged up a lot of the year.
Yeah, he missed a lot. I think Booker missed a lot of time, though, too. I think he may have missed 2 months or pretty close to 2 months I think he had a hamstring in maybe December, January.
Heard it getting out of that ride he's got. You've seen that? I've seen that.
He's a dude that, not to get lost on them, but just 10 seconds on him. He's a dude that they need to play him. I think they need to play him at the 1. Like, I know, I know they've got Chris Paul.
They got bad vibes there. We already talked about them tonight. You saw Ayton get out of the huddle, right?
Yeah. They got to figure it out. Well, again, they got Durant, and now I think they were a different version of Houston. Like, I'm sorry, of Dallas. Dallas got Kyrie, but they gave up they gave up their second, third, fourth best players to get Kyrie. So you got Kyrie and Luka, and now you don't have a team around him.
Right,
And I think the Suns were the better version of that. Like, okay, you got Durant and you needed to give up Bridges and Johnson and those guys to get, totally understand that. But you're now, for this season at least, you don't quite have enough around them to win it. And so now, we'll see what happens in the next couple of games. I think Denver is going to end up beating them. But now you have to go back to the drawing board, and it's like, okay, you have Booker and you have Durant. That's as good a 1-2 as you can have. But now you gotta build out a team that's 8 to 10 deep around those guys that can get you through a regular season and look a little more like Denver looks, because Denver's got balance and different pieces and talent all over the place. So that's kind of the own. And I don't know what's going to go on with their coach. With Ishbia now the owner from the old Michigan State walk-on. And he's the owner there. And I wonder if, is Monty Williams coming back? If they lose, he might not come back. There's been some Izzo rumors I've heard. Maybe going there because of his connections with the owner there. There's some good coaches. Nick Nurse is available.
Oh yeah. I think Nurse gets a gig. I really do. I think Nurse is going to get hired.
I mean, even Budenholzer now being available he's decent. Kenny Atkinson's available. There's some good coaches that I think can, Udoka is going to get a job. Did Udoka get Udoka? Did Udoka get hired?
He already got a job. Didn't he already get a job?
Did he go to Houston? I
thought he got a job. And then also you mentioned Kenny Atkinson. Didn't the Warriors today grant Kenny Atkinson permission to talk to somebody? I think, was it Milwaukee?
Yeah, that would be a great job. And yeah, Udoka did sign with Houston. So yeah, my bad on that. Udoka did agree to be Houston's head coach. So he's off the market, but he's a good coach.
And the Warriors may wind up losing Kenny Atkinson to Milwaukee at the end of the year.
Think about that. He goes to Charlotte, basically agrees to the deal, and then backs out, wanted to stay with the Warriors one more time, and he goes from maybe the Charlotte job to the Milwaukee job with Giannis and Middleton and those guys and Drew Holiday, and they were the ones. That's a great job to go into. That's basically and I know they've got some free agent, cap dealings that they have to fix, but you've got a team that's already won a title, who was the 1 seed this year and flamed out, and Giannis got hurt and they couldn't cobble it back together. I blew that one game in game 5, I think it was.
Right.
And so game 4 and game 5, I guess. And so that's a great job. Bottom line is that's a great job. It's a hell of a lot better than the job he would have taken in Charlotte a year ago.
Last one, Sixers and Celtics. Sixers up 3-2. Miami was looking to put away the Knicks. Knicks held on tonight. What do you think? Who's getting out of the East?
I think Miami's going to end up winning that series. I think they win Friday and take it in 6. Boston, what is going on with them at home? And man, you talk about flipping a series. Boston had game 4, about to be up 3-1. They allow Harden that corner 3. Jaylen Brown helps off. Harden hits a corner 3. They win that game. And then Boston just didn't have it at home. Embiid finally plays well. I think Philly's winning that series. And
Maxi's playing great, man.
Yeah, and Harden won him 2 games, and Embiid helped him last night, and Maxey found it. And it's starting to feel like Philadelphia's coming out of the East. If I had to pick it right now, And, they're another team. If I had to pick it right now, I would probably say Philadelphia and Denver. And the irony it's funny. It's so if it ends up being Philadelphia and Denver, just a random thing that popped into my head. When the Niners were playing the Eagles in the NFC Championship game in Philadelphia that last weekend of January, the day before. So I ended up having a flight delay. Like I was going to Philly and I had a flight got canceled. So I had to change my flight. And there was a group of folks that were going. So the Saturday before the Niners Eagles game, the Nuggets played Philly in an afternoon game in Philly the day before. And there was a group that were all going to the game and gonna watch it. It was Jokic versus Embiid, and it was a terrific game. I think Denver was up big, and the Philly came back in and won the game. It was just an unbelievable game. Saturday, like late afternoon game. And I ended up not being able to go because the flight got canceled.
Oh.
And so, yeah, there were a few people that ended up going. And like that may wind up being the NBA Finals, like that random game.
Unbelievable. Hey, brother, we'll let you go, man. It's 1:30 in the morning. We still have 250 people in the room watching this conversation. Thank you for joining. Your analysis is really, really good. We love talking ball with you. We could do it all night, but I got to get the Niner minicamp tomorrow, so I can't be a total wreck. So I'll let you go, brother. But have a great, safe travels, and we'll talk to you soon. We'll listen for you on 95.7 The Game. Appreciate you.
Yep. Thanks, Larry. Take care.
There you go. John Dickinson. Phenomenal. He is phenomenal. Absolutely really good. I mean, seriously, I'll say this. Between Frank Red, Carl Foster, Bay Area Baller, guys like Danny and Sean, Cy, JD, we've actually brought some outstanding Warrior conversation during this playoff run. So I hope you guys are digging it. Hope you guys are digging the basketball talk, because bottom line is basketball is an awesome sport. NBA is awesome to talk about. In the regular season, it's a little much, to be totally honest, to be sitting there and grinding. It's 82 games, and it's way overanalyzed, in my opinion, because it's just like so much. But when you get to the playoffs and you have real adjustments and real narratives and real strengths and drama and pressure and all these different things that impact this thing, it just becomes so compelling, and it's just an awesome thing. The NBA playoffs, doesn't matter if you're a fan of those teams or not, you flip that on and watch it, it is good. It's juicy. Guys are playing for keeps. These are the best in the world. It's fun. I mean, NBA's got a lot of momentum going in the postseason right now, and we'll see what the Warriors can do, right? I mean, they get game 5, and they win by 15, 121-106, and it sets it up for Friday night in LA. And this is it. Can they win in LA? They've been bad all year on the road. Can they get it done on the road against the King in his backyard with all the chips on the table? We're going to find out. And thanks for joining us every step of the way on these postgame shows. We have 17,644 subscribers right now to the Krueger Show, and we got 220 some odd people still hanging in the room. So it's 1:12 in the morning. If you're hanging out, hit like and subscribe. If you hit like, it just helps the algorithm. More people can find the show, which helps grow our show. If you hit subscribe, obviously you'll just get a little alert every time we go live saying, "Hey, Krueger's going live." And you can ignore it or you can join us, and we always want you to join us. So hit like and subscribe, help the channel. If we can get to 18,000 here in the next few days, that'll be cool. We're accelerating towards 20,000 subs, which we're hopefully going to get during training camp. I'm going to be down in 49er land tomorrow. Rookie interviews tomorrow. We're going to do that tomorrow in Santa Clara. It's going to be great. Then we get Steve Wilkes the next day, and a lot of dialogue about where the Niners are as they get ready for OTAs and their post-rookie camp. This is the first time we'll see the rookies on the field. It won't be tomorrow, but it'll be the next day. So I'm excited for that to see what they look like and who's running around out there. And we can tell you and report back on what we see later this week. But yeah, if you're in the chat, hit like and subscribe. And of course, if you want to be a channel member, you can be a channel member as well. You can just hit join. We'd love to have you all and appreciate every one of you. So appreciate our sponsors, Telmetrics.co, New York style Italian sausage company, and Pig in a Pickle. We've already run the ads. Have a great night, everybody. And we'll see you tomorrow. Now, tomorrow on the show, as I said, we'll be at camp. We won't do any live streams, but the next day we'll do a bunch. Oh, actually, tomorrow night, Jesse Naylor is going to stop by. Forgot about that. Jesse Naylor is going to be in the house tomorrow night, and we're going to talk Niners with Jesse, and Jesse's always good. So that's coming up tomorrow night or tonight, I guess. It's already 1:30 in the morning. That comes up tonight at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock Pacific. Jesse Naylor will be in the house. So join us, me and Jesse chopping it up. We'll talk about everything that the day in Niners and all the stories, and get into, Trey, Kyle's comments about Trey and the quarterback position. And oh my God, the drama never ends. So we'll get into it tomorrow. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks for supporting the channel. My son's doing a great job. We're putting together a bunch of videos. So go to Krug Show on YouTube and watch some of our videos and comment. Give me some comments. I'd love to hear your comments. We get a lot of great comments on there. A lot of people really digging some of the videos. So that's very cool. And Kev puts those together. He's a great kid. So appreciate him. Appreciate all of you. And until next time, peace.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get exactly what you asked for. Here for whatever you bring me, getting handled. I answer to no one, I don't need to hassle. Yeah, we ain't never fall back. Hold our ground where we at.